Welcome to the Tall Tale Tavern, the monthly one-shot adventure TTRPG podcast. I am your tavern master and host, Kyle. This month is a level 7 adventure set in a cyberpunk setting, and we are using the free homebrew Technomancer's textbook by Mogrit that provides all the homebrew we needed and more to run this 5e adventure, and that is set in the far future. Joining me at the bar this month is Tim, aka Landfell, sad boy frontman for the band Red Weather. Looking forward to seeing some big critties. Welcome, Landfell. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. Who will you be playing? Who is your character tonight for this adventure?
I am playing Lad, a Twilight Domain human cleric.
Wonderful. We have Ballistikitty, aka BK, goer of Renaissance festivals and gaming/comic conventions, player of games like Destiny 2 and D&D, enjoyer of cosplay. Welcome, Kitty. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
Good. Who are you? Who is your character this evening?
I'm playing Viper, a technomancer wizard, freelancer saboteur background.
Cool. This this homebrew is wild. I recommend everybody look at it because these subclasses, there's a lot of them, and it's great. You'll be able to see what types of things these characters can do in this setting. And next we have Scott, Blade Runner, more like Blade Stunner, because this man is gorgeous and I wish he'd leave his wife for me. It's Scott.
It's not going to happen. I've told you 100 times, Kyle. Stop asking. You're making it weird. That's all I'll say.
Welcome, Scott. Thank you for yet another great surprise intro for me to read. Who is your character tonight?
I am playing Dash Air or Dasher, who is a saboteur rogue, I believe is the subclass name. A very explosive enthusiast.
Good. And for the first time on this podcast, our resident rules lawyer, literal lawyer, is being promoted to rules judge. And James/Mav will be guiding the players through this adventure. Welcome, Mav.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Very excited to play this adventure because you reached out to me many moons ago, and said I wanted to run a cyberpunk adventure, and I said that sounds absolutely incredible. Let's do it.
Let's not tell him how many months ago, because then my level of preparation for tonight will be unacceptable, given how much time has
months
passed.
I meant days. It was like 2 days ago. And I am a player this evening. I am playing Ben Biofuel, a variant human, Circle of Transformation druid, and very excited. This is our 8th adventure for this podcast, so let's all go to the tavern, shall we? In the heart of Neo-Tokyo's bustling, overcrowded megacity, down the dank stairs from an alley off the swarming wharf, like an old dusty data stack forgotten amidst the stacks of old world knowledge and corporate permanent storage, rests the 23rd century Earth franchise of the Tall Tale Tavern. A place of victory and laments for drinks that will leave some dents and where the memory cores never defragment. This is where we find ourselves tonight, sitting around a cracked, canted plasteel table, pockmarked with cigarette burns and the odd knife scar. The front door slides open like the swiping of a digital page, and in walks a savagely scarred thug, a wicked cut bisecting one eye socket, a cybernetic replacement resting in it now. He slaps the latch of the door shut with his cybernetic hand and strides over to the bar where he orders a cocktail of sake, psychotropic amphetamines, and synthesized sugar, and then sits down, glancing around the bar. Taking a sip, he lets out a short, sharp gasp as one of his remaining pupils rapidly dilates, and his molars grind as the rush comes over him. Then, almost too low to hear, he says, "Did y'all hear of the underground AI road and how it changed the face of New Lisbon forever?" The drugs pumping through his system, he begins not merely retelling a memory, but describing it as if he's seeing it now, right here in this very bar. And so begins our story, crowning AI-chievement. Let's roll that intro!
So, as we begin, we enter the cracked concrete lobby of a used to be old world and now slightly updated police station in the heart of New Lisbon City on the coast of what used to be Portugal. After the reunification wars of the 23rd century, fought mostly cybernetically, with a few nukes dropped here and there, Portugal, and specifically New Lisbon City, became a corporate powerhouse, dominating the Western Hemisphere in what used to be the United States, and extending its influence eastward in an inevitable conflict with China and China's subsidiary corporate states. Over the last 300 years from present time, technology rapidly advanced, increasing lifespans, allowing really fantastic cybernetic modification to the human body, but also increasing incredibly the number of population on Earth. Earth now sports a smashing 13 billion people on its planet, overcrowded, underfed, and perennially in the thrall of the only remaining institutions that are present, corporations. And this is where we find our party today, in the holding cell awaiting processing in the New Lisbon City Capital Precinct Police Station. A bored police officer flips through his clipboard, paper and pencil, very old school for this police station, ticking off names as one by one detainees with their heads bowed, hands manacled either in front or behind them, shuffle by him, chains linked from one ankle to another. Each detainee is brought to a processing center in the middle of the jail and detached from his or her companions on the line, and then made to stand in a white, off-white now, dusty but still working millimeter scanner machine, so that they can be searched and as well as disinfected with radiation lights and a slight steam bath. And so it is in this line of detainees in this far-flung future police station that we find our party. Leading the party is Dasher. So Dasher, as the second bored, almost indistinguishable police officer, who is taking down notes as each detainee is shuffled through this processing center. You are shoved roughly into the disinfectant scanner and told over a loudspeaker through the bulletproof glass, it's pockmarked and scarred, to raise your hands and state your name clearly.
I hold my hands up first of all. Hey, you ducking geese? I know my name. It's Dash Air. You can see it right there when you scan me. Dash Air.
What's your last name? Surname, sir?
First name, Dash. Last name, Dash mate.
And the cop just like completely disenchanted, just like writes down. So describe for our viewers what Dasher has been brought in for. What is the rap sheet that this police officer is currently looking at? And the reason that Dasher's been picked up by the New Lisbon City Police.
Well, first of all, Dasher's been brought in. He didn't do anything. He's innocent, 100% innocent. Has never committed a crime in his life. There's probably quite a few things on this rap sheet that might lead one to believe that he's lit off an explosive or 200 or 300 in his career of doing freelance work for people, taking jobs, smash and grab jobs, maybe with some other members of the party. In this particular instance, I believe that Dasher maybe just had a bit of a conflict with he was trying to get a room to stay at a hotel, and they didn't have any rooms available. And when they didn't, he got a little bit upset. He got into a tiff with the manager, and the manager called the police for no reason when his car blew up for some unrelated reason. Circumstantial, you know? Just because someone's there doesn't mean that they're guilty.
So gazing down this rap sheet, the police officer ticks off arson, destruction of property, threatening, assault, grand larceny, ticking off these various things you're charged with. He looks over and he goes, bail revoked. And another cop checks a list on a list on his clipboard. And the first cop leans over and he goes, what was he carrying? The second cop flips back a list. He was carrying a revolver. Looks kind of damaged, scuffed up. A grenade launcher, similarly scuffed up, illegally modified. This can't be right. You were carrying around a car antenna? What's the car antenna for?
Gotta get reception, Trying to listen to the radio without an antenna. What are you gonna do?
Can you confirm that these effects are yours?
I've never seen them before in my liwith.
All right, chuck it, Mike.
That one has extreme sentimental value, though.
So, with no emotion at all, the second cop takes this box of stuff that you have and puts it on a conveyor belt, and the conveyor belt on the other side of the bulletproof glass follows you as they yell through the loudspeaker, next! And you feel the floor beneath you, Dasher, start to prickle with electrical energy, and you can feel the voltage rising, which makes you want to move.
Yeah, all right, I'll go ahead and step on out of here.
So as the door slides open, you pass through into a small waiting chamber. You can see through this, kind of plasteel clear glass. Your box of gear is being processed by a couple bored-looking orderlies, and smirking through the glass looks like the watch commander. He's got a hat on with a little badge on it, and he looks remarkably like a lot of the other officers, almost as if he was grown for this, that he wasn't just born somewhere, that there may have been some tinkering with his DNA to give him just the right, Bull Connor-ish attitude to be a, fascist cop, completely unconcerned about civil liberties, very secure in his desire to break and maim people.
Oi, Gov, is it hard knowing you were designed in a lab and they still made you that ugly?
He smirks and just continues to watch you. So moving back to our disinfectant / scanning chamber. Next down the line is Lad. Landy, can you tell us what the police officers would see as you're shoved into this room and told to stand with your hands above your head so that you can be scanned and disinfected?
So Lad is a pale-skinned and messy-haired, dark hair, piercing green eyes. I don't know if he still is, but he was wearing some heavy-looking armor covered by a dark cloak. And he came to be here because he was turned in by someone he was trying to help rehabilitate. Kind of his thing in the dark corners of the streets is finding those who are in need of coming off of drugs and kind of healing them, rehabilitating them, and trying to recruit them to do the same. So he was betrayed by one of the people that kind of went back onto the drugs and needed some money for said drugs.
So I should have said this initially. All of you have been stripped of all of your gear, including your clothing, and you're each wearing kind of a drab, brownish, orangish jumpsuit. It was probably orange at some point, but it's faded and the dye has come away over the years and years of use. With Lisbon City DOC printed in big block letters on the back. It's printed in English and in Portuguese and in Chinese, 3 different languages on the back. The cop looking at your rap sheet looks up and goes and kind of comments to his buddy, like under his breath, in the kind of half Portuguese, half Chinese patois that is common in this city, kind of compliments how attractive your eyes are. But then runs down the rap sheet and he goes, operating an illegal needle exchange, possession with intent to distribute, possession with intent to sell, possession of illegally, controlled substances. And then looks over at the box of your gear, your clothing, and your effects. And kind of runs through it. What would he find in there? What would he find in your box of effects alongside your armor and your cloak?
He would find a set of dice to idle away some time while he's in the dark corners of the city. A holy symbol of sorts, not exactly a holy symbol, but a trinket that would be carried around Lad's neck that would have been technologically imbued with some tricks that we may see later on. But yeah, there's not a whole lot. He's kind of a man of, of little means and just sneaking around the dark corners.
Any weapons to speak of in this box?
He does have a kind of a modified cudgel-looking thing. Upon further inspection, one might find that it would be able to shock those that he came into contact with that needed a little prodding.
So, rifling through this, one of the cops takes the religious icon and just kind of throws it on the floor, kind of dumping all the gear out alongside it. Kind of squints at you as like one he wouldn't expect to be religious. He recognizes the icon, but kind of treats it as the same as all of your other stuff, which is a little less than trash. He thinks. But he does take an interest in the cudgel, the modified cudgel. He kind of swings it around, and then he pokes his buddy with it, and the shock thing goes off, and the guy gets a burst of shock energy damage.
Careful, don't get too excited.
A small discussion between the cops, progresses into shouting and raised fists until finally the timer on the scanner buzzes, telling them that you've been in there too long and that the electrical floor is going to start to go. They're like, "Ah, shit! Good, next!" And they don't even verify that this stuff is yours. They just dump it back in the crate and put it on the conveyor belt. So you're ushered into the next room, into the next chamber, in which Dasher is standing there mouthing off to what looks like the watch commander, waiting to be led into the next chamber. And the watch commander looks back at the two cops processing, and he goes, 2 more, then move them in. So third in our list, shoved into the disinfectant/scanning room, is Viper. Viper, what would they see once you're, rudely pushed into this scanning room and told to raise your hands above your head for scanning?
Well, they don't see my puffy, awesome jacket that I should usually have on, but they do see short copper hair and dark green eyes, and she's got some modifications on her face that look like they're around her eye and go up to her brain.
So as you felt when you were transported to this facility from local lockup, and as you can feel now, you can feel those cybernetic implants. You can feel them humming at low power. There's something here that's suppressing your cybernetic implants. It's not completely disabling them. They're not totally gone. If for instance you had a cybernetic arm, you could still move it, but it feels slow and sluggish and suppressed. So any cybernetic implants that you have are operating at about 10%, maybe 15% power. So the cop's looking down his list, and what would he find on your rap sheet? What has brought you here to this place?
It's a pretty clean sheet. Not much on it, other than the fact that her most recent endeavor, she got caught by the admins of some higher up in the city, that she was trying to manipulate their finances and business equipment.
Okay, so the cop going down the list, looking at it, he kind of is like a little impressed. He's like, oh, it's been a while since I've seen one of these. Grand larceny, extortion, minor hacking, major hacking. And then he leans over and nudges his buddy, and he points at a thing at the very bottom of the clipboard, which has a little checkbox, and the text is in red, and it says corporate designee, and yours is checked. And he goes, I have to keep an eye on her. So he slides the drab plasteel box with your gear over to the window, kind of holds it up, says, is this yours? Is this your gear? What would he find in there?
Well, maybe a glow stick, some AR gear, a bug scanner, universal cable, smartphone, credit stick with 2,000 credits on it. Would they find the hacking tools if it's an integrated tool?
Is it integrated into your body?
Yeah.
So they likely know that it's there, but they haven't taken it out of you. But he goes, so you're admitting these are yours, all these effects?
Yes.
Court admission. Checks a box. All right, next! You can feel the floor start to prickle with electrical energy as the door slides open into the next chamber. Finally, after Viper joins Lad and Dasher, Ben Biofuel is rudely shoved into the scanning room for disinfection and scanning. The millimeter scanner is designed, by the way, to make sure that you're not sneaking any weapons into this next portion of the prison. The millimeter scanner determines whether or not you have anything hiding on your body. While it would be exceedingly difficult to do so in these prison jumpsuits, not impossible. However, there are also on some of our party members, there are cybernetic compartments that they may or may not
Like
be
a
using.
smuggling compartment?
Yeah, like a
maybe?
smuggling compartment. And the millimeter scanner also detects the presence of smuggling compartments. So while you are shoved into this room, Ben Biofield, why don't you tell us what the cops would see shoved into this room for scanning?
Oh yes, it's so if all my cybernetic things are not working well, I have 2 cybernetic arms and hydraulic legs, and so it's like I just imagine I'm like trying to step in, but Ben Biofuel is this big, completely bald, muscular looking guy with he's not wearing any clothes right now, but yeah, just a bald, muscular dude. And,
you know what? Give me a dexterity save.
Okay. Good. Dexterity.
I like to think
And actually, I want you to roll with disadvantage.
Okay.
Okay.
Can't be much worse.
I like to
I got a
think
6.
then
Oh god.
that with your augments weakened, it only makes you closer to actual Vin Diesel's body language.
Yes, it does. Just like stiff and
Stuck with your hands and fists, kind of flexing at all times.
Yeah, just kind of flexing at all times. Yes. So I rolled a 6 on that dexterity check.
So, because of how frozen up your joints, your limbs feel, what would normally be an impolite shove from the cop, putting people into this chamber, turns into a hard enough shove to knock you over. So you go sprawling into this chamber on your face. And let's see, you take...
Can we see this?
You cannot.
Okay.
You take 1 point. 1 point of force damage from the fall.
Bah.
The cops behind the plasteel crack up, they love it. They are dying with laughter at seeing this happen. It never gets old for them. It's their favorite thing when people have really big cybernetic limbs and just eat it.
Why don't you come in here and turn off all this cybernetic augment blocking stuff, and we can have a real conversation. We gotta stand up.
So the cops kind of look at each other and they're like, "Should we just turn the electrical floor on now? We could do this whole question.
I look at him
and answer session with the electrical floor on."
Look at him through the screen. Do it. I just stare at him. I glare at him.
So one of the cops looks over at the watch commander and is like, "Now we've already used up our quota this month. Well, you're lucky, Ben Biofuel. What kind of name is that, Ben Biofuel?"
I spit on the glass.
Excellent.
I step back.
So in the plasteel container of gear, what would they find?
Oh, in my smuggling compartment, or are you saying
in the stuff they took off you, in the process,
Right.
when you're being processed, all your stuff's taken. What would be in your?
I guess my clothes are in there probably, which is my white tank top, and then like this, like grease monkey like shirt, like dark gray shirt with biofuel written on it, like my name tag, and my pants. They see a necklace in there that has this metal necklace that has a gas cap like on it as a pendant, kind of like in the middle, and it's like this burnt charred gas cap that he has around his neck. And that's about it for him. Oh, and some like a bag of mechanics tools that he would have with him most of the time.
Nice. Anything resembling a weapon?
No weapons there. He's maybe
no
one of the...
no particularly bloody torque wrench, anything like that.
Ooh, maybe if you want to investigate my wrench, it's not bloody. It's good. It's greasy maybe. But it's okay.
All right, and what would have landed you in New Lisbon's Capital Precinct City Prison?
Yeah, absolutely, street racing for sure is what he's in for.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah, the other guy cheated. Cheated, blocked me off.
So
Made me crash.
as he's going down the list, property damage, excessive speed, attempted vehicular manslaughter, attempted manslaughter, possession of illegally modified street racing equipment. And he kind of looks up and he goes, didn't we have like a bunch of guys like this last month? They all came in like the same day. He goes, yeah, I think we did. He goes, hey, are you one of those like gang members? I mean, there's 1,000 gangs out there. Are you one of the street samurai, or is that a different gang?
Nah, I don't ride with them.
Oh well, maybe I'll meet one of them one day. Next, and he kind of the electrical floor turns on and the door slides open, and to allow you into the next antechamber. And as you enter the next chamber, the watch captain looks back and he goes, "All right, that's enough. Let's break them up." And so the door behind you slides closed. Ben Biofuel grinds closed, and the small antechamber that the four of you find yourselves in, with the watch captain on the other side of this plastic, he kind of wraps his knuckles hard on the plastic to get your attention. He goes, listen up. So you've all been tried and convicted in kangaroo court trials that we pass off as some kind of due process here. I don't know. I just do what the city lawyers tell me. I don't know. I don't know what the city lawyers tell me. So you're going to be shipped off-world as cheap colony labor. We've got plenty of resources we need here on Earth. There's fledgling colonies out there in the stars. You're going to go get to C1, and you'll probably die there. So, if you have any prayers you want to say to like an Earth god, do that, in the next hour or two. But otherwise, get the fuck out of my antechamber. And he hits a button, and the door slides open. And as it slides open, you are let out into what looks like a prison yard. There's, about a 25, 30-foot high concrete wall ringed with razor wire at the top. There's a couple guard towers, and it's open to the air. It's you can see above into the city, the towering skyscrapers going up hundreds, thousands of feet in pretty much every direction, crowding in almost on you. Almost impossible to see the sky. If you couldn't see the sky, what you would find is a borderline poisonous, somewhat irradiated cloud level that rests pretty persistently around 500 or 600 feet up, just packed with smog and pollutants and leftover radiation from, very, very cold but still a little bit hot thermonuclear war from a couple hundred years ago. And it not only blankets the city in this almost perpetual night, perpetual darkness, but ensures that the top levels of these buildings, where the wealthy and elite live, are the only ones that can actually see the sunlight. So as you enter this yard, you notice there are about 50 or 60 other inmates like you milling around. A couple of them are clearly know each other and are hanging out together. There's a couple like plasteel tables and benches. Some of the inmates have kind of taken over as their little turf. But you also see against the far wall, there is a big door, like a big, almost like a garage door. It looks wide enough to fit 2 vehicles abreast. That looks like it slides into place from the left to the right, as opposed to up and down, like a shutter. And that there is a number of guards standing on the wall above this door. As you kind of make your way into this yard, you also start to hear things. You hear whispers, like, oh, they said like an hour or two. I know they're going to be driving us to the spaceport soon. And you also start to hear what sounds like chanting. And it's this kind of low, dull crowd noise. And it's not coming from inside prison walls. Everybody there is relatively quiet, kind of talking in hushed voices to each other. Keeping their heads down, trying to avoid eye contact with the guards patrolling the wall. Now, the crowd noise you're hearing is coming from outside the prison. And it's then that you start to notice that there are these trails of smoke that are starting to go up in a couple different places around. You can see coming over the wall these trails of black putrid smoke that look like burning tires or a vehicle that's on fire. And what will the 4 of you do, finding yourselves in this new environment?
Ben walks up to Dasher and he's just like, "We're not staying here, right?"
What are you even doing here, mate? I blew up that hotel owner's car because I thought you were supposed to be racing him. I thought you were going to win for sure if I did that.
Yeah, the other guy, I don't know what he had on his car, but it wasn't clean, man. And he got me good.
Well, you got any ideas to get us out then? You're the one looking to pop us free.
I don't know. Something's going on in this yard.
I point over to Landy over here and I say, "What about you, lad? I didn't catch your name. What are you in here for?"
Lad is good enough.
Makes it
I'm
easy.
I'm a bit distracted by what's going on over there. I don't know.
What?
I do a perception check on what's going on with the smoke. I'm kind of distracted.
I'm also curious.
Sure. So give me perception rolls.
That would be a 25. I'm a perceptive lad.
You are.
17.
Okay. So you are both, as you kind of drift over toward the wall, the sound of this crowd noise starts to get louder. And you can tell from, you're starting to get not only the sound, but you're starting to get smells too. And you're starting to smell the smoke. It's definitely tire smoke, burned tires, burned vehicles, something like that. But behind it is this whiff, this very acrid hint of tear gas. And it slowly dawns on you that what is going on outside the prison is a riot. That a protest on the streets of New Lisbon City has turned into combat on the street, with one side very clearly outnumbering the other. It's at this point you notice that most of the guards on the wall are not looking at you. They're not looking in on the prison yard. They're looking out at what's going on the street outside this prison. And as you get closer to the wall, the sounds, you can start to kind of pick out individual things. You hear the clang of bats on plasteel and glass. You hear the rocking of vehicles being turned over. You hear the spike of bricks hitting the ground, hitting the concrete street. And it sounds like a pretty violent protest or riot that's going on outside this prison.
I turn back to Dasher and say to him, "You want your chance to get out? I think we might have it right now."
I do love the smell of that tear gas and all those explosions. I'd like to get out there. You got any way out? Because I don't have any of my bits and bobs on me.
So as you guys are discussing this, I want everybody to give me another perception roll.
Ooh. All right. I got a 26.
It's 25 for me.
Okay.
3.
3. I love it.
1. I have a -1 to perception, and I rolled a 2.
I love it.
Dasher realizes shoes untied. So, or he's not wearing shoes.
I'm too distracted by all these explosions to pay attention to anything else, you know? Like, ooh.
So you notice so Kyle and Landy, while you're kind of chatting, you notice that there's a single individual he's got 2 cybernetic arms, and he's torn the sleeves of his issued, jumpsuit off. The short sleeves. So he's got kind of 2 small, patches of fabric. And you notice that he has pushed his head through it and pushed it up over his nose to make kind of a makeshift mask. And he is walking alone by himself over to the wall that is kind of further away from the police station itself. So the building behind you is a 2 or 3 floored concrete structure. It's built like a bunker. Built like, it looks like it was built to be a fortress, to be attacked. And he is walking along the wall away from that toward kind of the base of one of the guard outposts. The guards don't see him. He's right against the inner wall, and you can see he's kind of counting to himself. And then he looks back, and he kind of looks up at the sky, and he looks back, and then you see him crouch down and open his mouth, like really wide, and put his hands over his ears.
Cover your ears! That's what I don't know. That's what I say.
So are you directing everyone's attention to this guy, Kyle?
Yes, yeah, because he's a guard, or is he one of the... Right?
He's a prisoner.
He's a prisoner. Yeah, okay, yes. Directing my attention to this guy.
So Dasher, because of your expertise in explosives, you recognize immediately what he's doing. And what he's doing is he is opening his mouth and covering his ears so that the pressure wave from an impending explosion does not blow his eardrums out.
Yeah, don't gotta tell me twice. Good call, good call. Anybody who wants to hear, after today.
So you are all standing in about the middle of this kind of prison yard. Are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna move?
I'm
wait to see what happens?
running away from this man. I am booking it.
You're booking it.
Just getting away from this man who's about to explode out of his mouth or whatever.
Are any of you following?
I mean,
yeah, since I was distracted looking at something else, I noticed him running away and saying this, so I follow suit because I'm just like, oh, what's going on?
With our perception roll, would we know kind of whether it would be wise for us to go towards or away from this guy?
So you did notice that when he was walking, he kept looking back at the police station and then was walking away from it.
Oh,
so
okay.
So I'm gonna go towards him then.
Yes, okay. I thought he was about to use some sort of open his mouth and explode.
My instinct was to go toward him because I'm just interested if I think there's going to be an explosion and he has information on it. I want to go toward him, so that's where I was going.
Yeah, I go away from where he was walking from. That's where I'm just moving, making sure I'm a safe distance away.
A question for you, Mav.
Yes.
Do I have the ability to use one of my abilities at this point?
So the technological suppression field is present in this part of the prison yard too. Okay. You can feel, the cybernetic implants. You can feel the cybernet out there. It's there and you can sense it, but you can't reach it.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, I'm gonna follow suit with what that guy's doing.
Okay.
I go over to him like, what is it? Pipe bomb? Claymore? Plastic explosives? What are we working with?
So as you guys started to run, 2 things happened very quickly. The other inmates notice you running, and they start running like a stampede. Everybody realizes something's about to happen, and they all start running, which grabs the attention of some of the prison guards on the wall, and they immediately start dropping tear gas canisters into the prison yard. They're like, fight, riot! And they start pumping these tear gas canisters into the yard. You don't hear any, the cracks of any gunshots yet, but you see those canisters start to come in. Thankfully, they don't seem to be aimed at you. They're kind of dropping them into the crowd. so they're not close to you. You haven't been hit by any of them yet. And then, all at once, everything goes white. And there is an enormous explosion right at the corner of where the wall is meets the prison station. And this explosion catastrophically demolishes both the wall and the side of the police station that was closest to where you were let out. Rock, plasteel, concrete, steel rebar is thrown in every direction. I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw.
All right. Ben got a 16.
Okay.
A 20, not nat.
Okay.
14.
Okay.
5 for Dasher.
Not rolling. Get the bad rolls out.
Uh-huh.
So because you guys were on, you managed to get to the outer ring of where this explosion pressure wave was focused. And Dasher, from his experience, recognizes the distinct scent of C4. The pressure wave knocks Dasher down, but does not knock the other three of you down. And Dasher, you're going to take 10 points of force damage. Oof. Throws you to the ground violently. And all of a sudden, the world is a lot louder to everybody. So as the smoke starts to clear, alarm bells, klaxons start going off around the prison. The guards now that are still up on the wall, a couple of them, you can see their bodies, some in pieces, some have been flung hundreds of yards. The guards that are remaining kind of pick themselves up on their wall stations and don't know what to do. They start firing guns, tear gas, throwing things in both directions, both at what's happening outside the prison and what's happening inside the prison, just indiscriminately. And now you can hear the sounds, the popping of gunfire. I want everybody to give me a perception roll. Or, you know what, if you want to make it an investigation.
I like that a lot better.
Ben got a 17 on his perception.
The lad got a 12.
I'll use investigate. That'll be 15.
Okay.
Well, if I had done perception, it would have been 3. Luckily, I rolled again and I got an 8. So.
Okay.
High rolls, high rolls.
Using a D10.
Dasher's still shaking out the concussive blast of that explosion. The three of you realize that there are police on the ground outside the gaping hole now in the wall of this prison. And all of you feel the suppression field flicker out and die. And all of a sudden, you feel the full force of your cybernetic enhancements come back. Kyle especially can feel his arms, his legs come back to life.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you use technological enhancements or your access to the net is now you can feel it out there and access it. Also, in addition, you realize that the guy who was crouched down clearly knew what was about to happen, is booking for the hole in this wall. He is sprinting toward it. And he you see him like almost elegantly dodge between these like flaming, pieces of concrete and steel and rebar, and vaults over the base of what used to be this prison wall out of the prison, and is immediately cast back into it. Like it gets knocked back into it, and you see a police sergeant. You can see the stripes on his sleeve, and 2 riot police kind of clamber through the hall, and they are going to try to make a stand and keep these prisoners, including you, inside. But it's just the 3 of them. You realize, in addition, that the smoking ruin of the corner of this police station, that, long since overdue for an overhaul, has exposed the evidence room, and that you may be able to get your gear back. But the problem is that these police officers that are now distracted by our lone saboteur may notice you doing it. So you have a choice to make. you gonna try to go for your gear, or are you gonna try to slip past the cops trying to keep everybody in this prison and escape out clean?
I'll sneak right past those guards to get the gear, guys. You don't have to worry about it, guys. Let me pop in there, Ben. Grab our bits and bobs.
You're gonna sneak? You want me to run him over?
I think that's a good plan B. Maybe plan
All right.
C.
You go.
Typically, you don't like to run people over and murder them, I feel like. So that's surprising from you.
I'm not gonna hurt him. I'm gonna push him out of the way.
Oh, that's fair.
Get our stuff.
After the stuff, though. Because I'd like to have sentimental value. A lot of sentimental value in there. A lot of real value, too. Lots of grenades. Lots of explosives I'd like to get back.
I need my relic.
How many guards are within sight?
So there are a number of guards along the top of the prison wall that are kind of shooting indiscriminately. None of them appear to have focused on you. But the 3 city police in riot gear, riot shields, looks like stun batons. You can see one of them has a combat shotgun on his back. Have kind of clambered through this hole and are now like jabbing their stun batons at this guy. Sleeveless guy, cybernetic arms, and you can see he's got his fists up and he is ready to go. He is drilling at the police with 2 cybernetically enhanced metal arms, and it looks like he's giving as good as he's getting. So he has them distracted for the moment, which will offer you an opportunity to try to sneak past these cops and get to the gear room.
Okay.
So, Scott, did you say you were gonna try to make the sneak?
Oh, I'm absolutely trying to make the sneak.
Give me a stealth check.
I'd like to, if I can, because he told me he's going to try, I would like to use my knack cantrip from this homebrew that allows me to create a larger, smaller, augmented reality object or creature for up to an hour. And it follows my mental orders, and it vanishes if it's like 60 feet away from me. But I want to use it to just like create even more of a distraction for those guards, like to point them away, their gaze away from where he's going to try and sneak through them. If that works. But
what are you going to create?
That's the question. I'm going to create it's just going to be like a comically large, like not like a cartoon bomb, but like it looks like a big like bomb is going to like be lobbed out in like close to them, and I'm just going to yell, "That's another one!"
Give me a deception roll.
Okay. Deception. Come on. Ooh, how does a nat 1 do on on that deception? I got a 2.
You know what? I want you. No matter how this happens, it's gonna fail. But I want to know how it happens. So I want you to roll to hit.
Okay.
Give me a d20 to roll to hit.
Okay. Yeah. My d20 to hit was a 7.
Okay, so had you hit, I would have had it just like bounce off one of the cops' like helmets and just like shatter, and then he would have you would have gained his undivided attention. But as it is, it just kind of flies past them and like, "I'm a bomb, I'm a bomb, I'm a bomb." Like shouting at them, "I'm a bomb," as it like flies past. Yeah, and they don't notice. They don't even like it. Just gains no attention.
Can I see that he's doing that? I would also like to use knack to try to add to the chaos.
Okay.
And mine's gonna be an audio element, so it's gonna act like it's coming from their speakers, and I want it to sound like the alarm of when like a nuke is incoming, and people gotta take shelter and like.
Okay, give me a deception roll.
This is a 13.
So it's fairly convincing, and it stops. Like the police look at their little radios for a moment, but then you can see the police sergeant. He has a helmet with a faceplate that has a HUD on the inside of it, and he can see the fact that it is cybernetically implanted, that you have like drilled this into their system. And so while the two riot police kind of pause for a second and look around and look back at their sergeant, the sergeant like looks at them and he goes, "Get the inmates, you idiots!" and like shoves them back into combat. So I momentarily got them, but you've only bought maybe yourselves a few seconds.
I like this girl. Hey, Viper, you with us? Your family now.
He really likes to adopt family, lad. You want to be part of it?
As long as we get our shit back.
He's in. He's gonna love
Let me
it.
get out of here.
All right, Dasher, give me that stealth roll.
17.
Oh, that's great. So, as this lone combatant is squaring off with the 3 police, you slink by into, and you crawl into this like smoking ruin of the police station, and complete chaos inside. I mean, there's some of it's on fire. There's like open flames. There's a sprinkler system going off that's ineffectively trying to put out what fire is in there. You can see like bodies. The 2 cops that were processing you are mostly splattered against one wall, just like blood everywhere dripping down. You know, the concrete, the pressure wave literally, liquefied these guys.
Still ugly.
But because your gear was still in process, it was in this like little conveyor belt thing that was encapsulated. And so looking into it, you realize that your gear is pretty much untouched. And all you have to do is get it open.
Okay. And how do I get it open?
So there is what looks like a kind of crude lockpick, or a crude lock that could be picked if you have the ability to do so.
I'm proficient in these tools, but the only built-in tool in my body are demolitionist tools, so I don't know if I can.
Well, tell you
those.
what. Give me an investigation roll.
All right, perfect. Holy shit, an 8. I have not rolled. A 7 is the highest I've actually rolled so far tonight. This is awful.
Unbelievable.
So you realize that while the police were liquefied, their uniforms, their equipment was not. And it occurs to you that if there's a lock, there must be a key somewhere.
Fair point. I guess I start.
I would like to use my ability to
Are you
locate
here?
object.
Did you sneak here with me?
Oh yeah, I don't
I'm-
know if you know what's going on.
I don't know.
Lad?
I'm following.
All
but
right. You coming?
Okay, are you? Give me a stealth roll, lad.
I will do that.
Let's see if you pick
Let's
up
do
some
this.
attention.
Question: Can I use guidance on myself?
That's a great question.
I actually don't remember if you can. I feel like I've asked
It
this
says-
question a million times.
I
and
know
never
it's
remember.
one
think
willing.
you can.
It's one willing creature. It doesn't say one way or the other. I am willing.
And boy, and
Yes,
how.
you can target yourself
Yeah.
with any touch spell according to the internet. So it's a touch
Alright.
spell. So there you go.
I'm gonna touch myself, and then I'm going to stealth.
Self guide.
Alright, so that's a 12 plus.
Well, the DC was 10, so you beat it. So
Alright.
you're
Nice.
What the hell
so
was
you-
that? What was that rubbing on yourself shit? Why didn't you do that to me before I went to sneak by?
You ran too fast. Sorry. Next time. now
so Landy-
now that I'm in here, I would like to locate object.
okay. What are you going to try to locate?
I guess the key to get into the conveyor belt area.
Okay. Too bad you didn't locate some rubber gloves, because you find it. The traces of the net that you can control kind of lace out through this room and circle in on and hone in on, to your view only, this like mass of flesh that is sticking about a third of the way up the wall in what used to be one of the police officers. So too bad you didn't locate object on some, rubber gloves or something, but it looks like you're gonna have to go fishing.
Hey, Dasher, the key is right there. If you don't mind grabbing that for
Dig
me.
on in, buddy. You can find it. You seem like you got a whole almost doctor adjacent vibe going on. So why don't you just?
I touch Dasher and guide him towards it.
Fair enough. So I guess investigation with guidance to look through this body.
So he's indicated to you pretty directly where it is. So you're relatively quickly able to find it. I'm I'm not going to make you give a Constitution roll to see if you keep your lunch. But you find the key and are relatively quickly able to get open the boxes that are sealing your gear. From what you can tell, everything that was taken from you when you were processed is there.
Good.
There doesn't seem to be anything missing.
I strip off my jumpsuit right away and put on my clothes that were in there. That's the first thing I do before I leave the room.
I do the same, and I grab one of the boxes from our compatriots to bring out.
You carry the I don't know, Viper, whatever her deal is. I don't really know what's going on with her. I'll take Benny Boys. But as I'm leaving, I also want to, now that I've got my clothes on, I'd like to activate my hologlam fabric that are part of my clothes to make it look like I'm wearing one of the police guard uniforms.
Ooh. All right. As Dasher and Lad clamber out of this like smoking, station, you can see that like inside the fire is like fully engulfed now. Like this place is going to burn to the ground, making access to it. Like as you leave, you start to like really start to feel the heat of the fire. And as you look back over kind of into this room, the smoke is starting to become so like chokingly thick that you realize you really can't go back in there. That this is kind of your last opportunity to get anything out of there before you leave.
Make sure I got Ben's box of stuff. I got my box of stuff. Seems like Lad over here's got Vipers. So I suggest we hightail it out of this room. And why don't you just I'll smooth our way right out of this prison. I'll get us right out of here. Don't you worry.
The way you've been rolling, you sure about that?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good, trust me. I got a whole plan, guys.
What could go wrong?
See, if once we're all convened, I'd like to pitch this notion that you guys come with me, we'll walk right past those police and just let me do the talking. Just, let me handle it. But Ben, open up your trunk. I need to throw my shit in there.
Yeah, so I was going to say, put my crap in my trunk. Put it in my trunk, and yeah, Ben's got his compartment or whatever. The smuggling compartment is his butt just opens up like a trunk and just pops open, and then can put in all this stuff in there.
I was so hoping that you would tell us exactly how it looks, and I can't. I love it. I love everything about it.
Like it doesn't have to bend. It bends over a little bit, and it like pops. It just like pops open and then lifts up, and he puts it in there, and then closes the hatch.
Does that make it a bumpartment?
There it is.
Yes.
No notes. Perfect. Everything is perfect about this. So as you guys are getting your clothes changed, your gear strapped on, the sounds of fighting, of like melee fighting in the street, the popping of firearms is getting louder and louder. And you can see through the open section of this wall, there are what looks like this like swarming mass, this crowd of like angry rioters. Whereas, in riots, particularly when you have tear gas, getting shot, you've got, police firing indiscriminately into the crowd. The rioters tend to scatter. These guys are not scattering. They are pissed. And so you can see bricks and like slabs of concrete, bits of concrete being thrown at the station, thrown at the police that are remaining on the ground. A number of the people right at the front, kind of closest to the prison that you can see through this gap in the wall, that are going at it hammer and tongs with the police on the street, you realize have very similar haircuts and very similar tattoos to the guy who is right now going 1v3 with the cops that climbed through the wall. And you realize that this guy is starting to get his ass kicked. Like he was putting up a decent fight at the beginning, he's starting to get overwhelmed. The action economy, if you will, is not in his favor.
I would like to don my gas mask as well before we proceed through any holes where there's tear gas being shot.
Okay.
This hole's like big enough for like a car to fit through, you'd say, maybe?
Not that big. It's
okay.
Tall,
right.
Not wide, and it's also jagged. There's like, it's not all the way down to the ground. There's like a 2 or 3 foot high kind of jagged remains of the bottom of the wall, as well as rubble on either side.
So I pat Ben on the back and tell him, go get him, Tiger. And give him a vigilant blessing, which gives him advantage on his next initiative roll.
Oh, nice. Cool. Okay.
But do we think we could just walk past the fight and leave?
You can certainly try.
Because that's my pitch.
Yeah, let's just go. Let's go.
Let's just go.
Let's just run.
Just let me do the
I would
talking.
like to cast 2 spells.
2 spells. All right.
So, first one, mage armor on myself.
I did hear you say that before, so
Yeah.
I wanted to read.
5
I don't
minutes
know if
ago,
it was caught. So the second one is I want to jam signals. So it'll be a 100-foot radius invisible sphere that surrounds me, and all wireless and radio connections within the sphere are suppressed. Machines without function, that rely on wireless or radio connections, such as walkie-talkies and wireless transceivers, cease to function while within the sphere. These machines also cannot receive signals from outside the sphere.
Okay.
So, assuming when I'm walking by all the cops and things, they won't be able to radio in any suspicion.
Does it interfere with cybernetics?
I think it's just shortwave. It's like cell phone, walkie-talkie. It shouldn't be cybernetics. I don't
I
see
assume
that.
my cybernetics are like in my nervous system.
A little more
embedded,
robust.
like,
Yeah, a little more
wired in,
robust than
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
You want to set this up? You want to cast a spell prior to trying to sneak by?
Yes. Because
Okay.
it lasts 10 minutes. I feel like that's plenty of time.
Okay. So, as you're preparing this plan to see if you can sneak by these combatants, you realize that, like, once again, there were 60 or 70 other inmates in this area. And some of them have taken cover kind of under the walls, trying to hide from the guards above. Some of them are dead. Some of them, had no idea the explosion was going to happen, were killed in the initial blast. Some of them are attempting to scale the wall at certain places, or they're trying the big garage door at the other end. And there's a few that are also trying to escape through this hole in the wall created by the explosion. So are you going to try to use their, trying to get out as a distraction? Are you going to run with them and just bum rush it for the hole? Or are you going to wait for them to make their attempt and then try to leave after?
I think if anything, I would try to appear authoritative to kind of push through or whatever. Or if I'm looking like a guard, if there's so many that they're physically blocking access to the hole, then I guess I would wait for an opening to get through rather than try to shove up against them, because my clothes are also a hologram and you can tell that they're not real if you touch them and pass through them. So, yeah.
Okay. So as they're starting to crowd toward the hole, the police realize they're starting to get overwhelmed, that they're in danger of being overwhelmed by this kind of oncoming rush of inmates. And one of them goes to radio up to the guards on the tower to focus their fire on the inmates inside. And he goes to it and it's just static. Can't radio out, can't hear anything. You see the sergeant kind of bashing the side of his helmet, trying to get it to work right. He can't hear anything on his comms either. And so as the inmates come, they engage with the police. There's 5 or 6 inmates that kind of all just jump in. And this guy, this saboteur, or would-be saboteur, who's getting his ass kicked, kind of crawls away slowly. But you can see now that he's closer, and he's not getting beat on by 3 police, that he's got tattoos on the side of his head. And they look like kind of crude attempts to replicate Chinese dragons on either side, clearly prison tattoos, but they're recognizable. And you recognize those same tattoos on the sides of the heads of lots of the combatants on the outside. And it occurs to you that what you might be caught up in the middle of is a prison break. So as the inmates jump in with the police, will you put your plan into action?
I think so.
All right.
Dasher, go forward. I'll bring up the rear. Let's go.
Also, real quick, being part of the criminal element, do I recognize this gang, this troop?
Give me an. There's a part of me that wants to make it like a nature roll. Yeah, you know what? Nature roll. Give me a nature roll.
A nature roll.
Nature.
Because it's the nature of the streets. Yeah,
Okay.
because there is no nature.
Oh,
Concrete jungle.
very well. Please be good. Oh, that's gonna be an 11.
Oh, okay. So you've recognized the tattoos. You've seen them before, and you know it's an organized street gang, but you can't remember their name. However, you do remember that it's a motorcycle gang. That like they're known for like warring it out on the streets with other motorcycle gangs. So, Dasher, for your plan, are you leading the way or are you following behind them?
Leading. Absolutely. I'm leading them. They're prisoners. I'm leading them out.
I'm excited to see how this deception attempt goes.
And I'm gonna give Dasher guidance on this.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. So in terms of how your guidance works with him, you get a D4 to add to the number rolled on the ability check of your choice. Excellent. So as you approach these police, who are now in danger of getting overwhelmed, two things happen very quickly. The sergeant decides that he is done playing around and pulls out a long magnum pistol and places it into the face of one of the inmates, doesn't even give him a warning, and just blows his head off. Just splattering brains, skull everywhere. And the two riot police under his command immediately take this as the sign that we are no longer worrying about the loss of human life. And they drop their riot shields and both pull out shotguns, short-barreled, short-stock combat shotguns. And they start laying in to these inmates. 3 or 4 of them are cut down by the time you reach where they are. And as they're aiming down sights, looking for new targets, the inmates scatter, realize they're outmatched, and now there's no way they can get out this hole. They start to sprint away.
Okay.
Right is kind of like the inmates run past you as you approach them. And as the leader of the party, Dasher, what are you gonna tell them? Are you gonna try to walk right by?
No, I throw my hands up. Hold your fire, guys. Hold your fire right now, okay? I need you, everybody. Hold up. I got important prisoners back here behind me. This comes highest orders. All right? Listen, CEO of the prison, these are relatives of his. All right? The owner of the prison comes from the highest place possible. We were in the middle of booking them. We were going to let them out easy because you know how these things work. You know the right people, you get out. Something's going on out here. He radioed me specifically to make sure they were safe and get them the hell out of here. All right? Put the guns down unless you want to hear from the man on top.
All right. Give me your deception roll with and you can add a D4 to it because of Lad's guidance.
Oh, please don't suck. Are you fucking kidding? All right. Well, that's a 15 with the guidance.
That was a good guidance roll.
Yeah, considering I have plus 7 to the goddamn thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wait, you rolled a 7?
I rolled. I have plus 7, and I rolled an 8.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It works. Yeah.
So you see, like for the record, the DC was 15. So you see the the sergeant like aiming. He's got his pistol like in your face. He like his head cocks, and he's like, that doesn't sound right. But then an inmate kind of runs by running by. He like tracks and like cracks off another round. He goes, get out of here. And so he waves you on past.
I say, give him hell as I walk by.
So as you get past this trio of police that are now just indiscriminately firing into the prison yard, you find yourself at the base of the wall, strewn rubble everywhere. And you can see stretching out in a bunch of different directions this like ongoing riot.
We're on the other side of those 3 police.
Correct. You're now there facing away from you.
Once we're on the other side of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to bring up the damage here.
I can tell you how it works. I've got it on my sheet.
All right. Tell us what it looks like.
Yeah, a pipe bomb, when I throw it, they need to make a dexterity save of 15, or they're going to take 3d6 plus 1 damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
they'll
it.
take
Let's
half
see.
as much on a... Not a save. Let me see here. Ooh, I can re-roll one of those, too.
All right, so it's a DC, what is it, 15?
It is a DC 15.
And it's dexterity, you said, correct?
Yes, dexterity. Yes.
So on a save, they take half damage?
Yes. That's going to be... They would take 14 damage from it. Anybody who's in the area of it, which is a 10-foot sphere.
Okay, so that'll catch all 3 of them.
Yeah, and I can select who my blast damage does damage to with my feet, so I don't want to hurt any of the prisoners, just the police officers that are in the area.
Wow.
Okay, so you said it was 14 damage?
Yes.
Okay, so the police sergeant and the one of the riot police fail their saves, so they take the full 14.
Good.
And the second makes his save and takes 7 damage.
All right.
And boom, explosion goes off. Shrapnel, fire everywhere. The inmates already running away are like, we are definitely not fucking around here. And perhaps unexpectedly, the riot gear that you did not notice was cybernetically enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
Not only deadens the shockwave, the concussive shockwave, but it also allows them to immediately get back to their feet. And now their attention is squarely on you. And I need everybody to roll initiative.
Okay.
Boy.
Hey, Kyle, you've got advantage.
I do have advantage.
I know I should have done this one thing I was going to do before that happened. Oh, no.
It's going to be fine. You've already got mage armor on, too. What are you worried about?
With my advantage, my initiative roll is an 11.
I got a 6.
I got a 9.
I got a 22.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay.
Nice of you to show up there with the.
Uh-huh.
Now that you got us into a fight.
Well, yeah.
Ooh. These are some pretty good initiative rolls from the cops. They are pissed at you.
And I was bringing up the rear, so.
That's a shame, because I was really hoping you'd just turn into a car and we'd just wheel on out of here right away.
I know, but if only.
If only.
If only someone hadn't thrown a bomb at him.
Well, they were kind of being dickheads, you know?
Yeah, that's
They had it
kind of
coming.
Dasher's MO.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
They were right there just waiting for it. They wanted it so badly.
You
We're
couldn't
almost
hold off.
out.
I know, I could have waited longer. I can throw these things 120 feet. We could have gotten way further away before I could.
Away for-
You're volunteering this to the people you just got into a life or death fight with?
You know, it's more fun this way. What's life without a little excitement, guys?
I agree. I was actually worried that you were going to completely skip this fight. I was like, shit, this was going to be kind of fun. Okay. All right. We're organized here.
Don't worry, guys. I have pepper spray.
Dasher, despite
me.
your abysmal rolling all night, you are first on the initiative order. So tell us what you're going to do as these 3 cops turn to face you.
All right. Well, the first thing I guess we're gonna do is whip out the old thumper that I've got. I'll put the strap on around myself now, so that I can let it go if I have to, and have it hang. And I guess pop a shot off at. I'm gonna aim for the main guy. I guess the head prick in charge.
Yeah, the sergeant.
Yeah, we'll take a shot at him with the old
All right.
thumper with a 19 to hit.
That is going to hit.
Hey, I like that. And let's see. He is then going to take. Oof, okay, that's bad. It seems like nobody panic. I can re-roll one of those, and it's still not very good. He's only going to take 5 damage from that shot.
Ooh. Is there any AOE effect to your grenade launcher?
I believe there is for just the blast damage, but that blast damage was only like it was only one. So one thunder damage in like the 10-foot area as well.
Well, we don't want to deprive the police of their well-earned damage.
Now, the question is, would you classify them as engaged with anyone else, though?
Nope, they are squarely looking at you now. But that might have been the case when they were fighting 3-on-1 on one poor inmate. But no, they're squarely looking at you now. All
right. Well, the good news is, thanks to one of my other feats, I can use my other explosives as bonus actions. So I'm going to go ahead and just chuck a flashbang at all of them right now.
Okay. Why don't you tell everybody what a flashbang does?
It will be a Constitution save 14 in a 10-foot radius around them, and it will blind and deafen them until the start of my next turn if they fail it.
Okay, Constitution save for 14, you said?
Mm-hmm. Not a lot, but maybe someone will miss it.
Let's see. Dasher must really, like, the flow of good fortune really comes on during combat because all three of them failed. They catch a flashbang right in the face. And all three are blinded and deafened. And do they take damage as well?
No damage with a flashbang, just the effect on them.
Okay. I did not anticipate the flashbangs coming out this early, so I'm gonna have to look up the effects for blinded.
When you're blinded and deafened, I don't know what the fuck you could possibly do, honestly. Good luck.
I mean, you fail any ability check that requires sight. Does it say how long the effect lasts?
It's just till my next turn, the start of my next turn. Yeah.
Okay, so for attack rolls until Dasher's next turn, all attack rolls against these guys have advantage. And attack rolls against the blinded creature, while the blinded creature's attack rolls are made with disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
So, really effective use of your tools of the trade there, Dasher. Well done.
I was going to use my movement to move as far away from them also, with the rest of my turn, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. So that puts you about, I think you were about 15 feet away already, so you're about 45 feet away now. And just, to give you an idea of where you're standing, there's like what used to be kind of a demilitarized zone between the street and the edge of the wall. The cops wouldn't let people come right up to the wall. That's since been trashed. There's like, flaming pools of petrol from like broken Molotov cocktails. There's, rubble from the explosion. There's trash and like discarded weapons and bodies all over the place between the wall and the street. But the street is about 60 feet away from the wall. And the street is where ragged remains of the police line are fighting with the rioters out the street.
Okay.
And up to bat is the sergeant, and he catches the flashbang right in the face, and ears ringing, sight completely whited out. He just fires indiscriminately, aiming back at Dasher. And he's going to fire 2 shots. He's going to crack 2 shots off with his revolver. Oh, and they both miss. So there's a 5 and a 4 for our 2 disadvantage rolls. So you hear the bullets whine past you out into the crowd. Whether they hit somebody else, who knows? Next up is one of our riot police who is also blinded. But he clutches his combat shotgun, and he aims at what he last saw. And what he last saw was Lad as being the closest to him. And so he's going to crack off a couple blasts with his shotgun.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. This is going to get interesting. So what he thought was Lad was actually the other riot police. He rolled 2 nat 1s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes,
oh, my gosh.
The flashbang just like completely skewed his sense of placement in sight. And so he hits his fellow officer twice. And that is going to do 12 damage. And then an additional 9 damage for the second shot. So 20 points of damage. Not so much self-inflicted, but inflicted friendly fire. And you see the second police officer just like completely, he's blinded. He has no idea what's about to happen, and he eats this hard. And he like, you can see he's like bleeding from a couple wounds. His gear's fucked up. He is not looking in good shape. Which brings up Ben Biofuel. Talk to us.
Ben's gonna look at these guards, and he's gonna cast Entangle. And the way he does it is he's got this connection to like electricity and wires and things, and that's his. He's a druid, and this is his, concrete jungle is his nature, and so he casts this, and the wires and electrical devices kind of like break open, and these wires trying to ensnare these guys, and so they have to. It's 20-foot square. I'm centering it on them, and they have to succeed on a strength saving throw.
Okay.
Which is going to be 15.
Okay. So this is not a saving throw that requires sight, because it's just resisting, being grabbed. So they don't have disadvantage here. But it's a 15, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Sarge beats the count. He struggles free. He's blind, he's deaf, and he feels these things crawling up his legs, grabbing at him, trying to swarm over his chest, and he fights free. But the other two police, they feel kind of the wires, the rebar snaking around their legs, climbing up onto their arms, and they're dragged down and held in place by your technological magic. So you've ensnared the two riot police. Sarge manages to fight it off.
What's wrong? Can't move your arms and legs too well? Doesn't feel so good, does it? And they are restrained. And so with the restrained condition, they are speed is 0, attack rolls against them have advantage, and their attack rolls have disadvantage, and they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws.
And so they can spend their turn to try to break free, correct?
Yes.
Or is it just last of the duration?
Nope, they can they can use their action to make a strength check.
Okay. Viper brings you up. You've got 2 restrained police officers and an unrestrained sergeant, all blind, all deaf. The world is your oyster. What do you want to do?
Well, seeing the sergeant isn't as restrained as the others, and he's got the biggest weapon, right?
He does have a massive pistol.
Well, he's already at disadvantage, right? They're all at disadvantage, or is that only while they're blind?
So you have advantage on attack rolls. They have disadvantage on attack rolls.
Okay.
So if you were to attack one of them, you would roll to hit twice and take the higher number.
How bad is the sergeant looking?
The Sarge looks okay. He's a little scuffed up. Like he's got some bruises and some scratch marks and stuff, but he doesn't look too bad.
Change that, hopefully. I would like to use my cybernetics ability, elemental emitter, using the lightning ability.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what that does?
A small arcane battery is installed in my body with synthetic ley lines that trace their way down my arms to my hands. Battery is charged by soaking in ambient energy, not magic, definitely not magic. And you can discharge the battery to cause elemental havoc.
Okay, so does it require touch?
No, this is a range, and I can choose whether to do cone or radius sphere or a line.
Okay, and what are you choosing?
How far away am I from the sergeant?
So you were all about 15 feet away when Basher tossed his pipe bomb.
Okay.
And Ben Biofuel is still standing right next to you, while Dasher has skedaddled 30 feet away. Mm-hmm.
It's in the name.
The other two police officers, they're within how close proximity to the sergeant?
They're right next to each other. They're about 5 feet up. So there's about 5 feet between each of the officers. They're in a line.
Then I should probably just pop it straight on the middle guy as a radius sphere of 10 feet.
Okay. So what does this look like? Is it like a lightning strike? Is it an explosion? Like, tell us what
I
you
think
would
of
see.
it as like an EMP going off, but more electrical aspects in the air, and it kind of smells like electrical fire.
Yeah, burnt ozone. Sure.
Yeah, burnt ozone, and
Is it like one of those balls that you touch and it makes your hair stand up, but it's just like there in the
absolutely,
air? For no reason?
absolutely. It's kind of pretty, if not for the damaging effect of it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So speaking of the damaging effect, is there a save that they have to make?
Yes, they need to make a Constitution saving throw and make it 14.
Okay. This does not require sight, so no disadvantage on the ability check. A 14. And that'll save. If they make the save, they take half damage, correct?
Most likely, I would
Okay.
assume so.
So even though you center this on the sergeant in between his two officers, he bears up under it and makes his save. One of the other officers does too, but our unfortunate first officer, Riot Police 1, who ate a shotgun blast from his buddy, does not make his save. So tell us how much damage we're talking about here.
4d6. Let's see here. That'll just be 17 lightning
great.
damage.
That's good.
Okay.
17.
And then
Have for those that save.
we'll roll that up to 9 for those that save. So as this goes off, one of the riot police is like ducking and weaving. He's blind, he can't see anything, but he's doing everything he can to just like not get hit. The Sarge eats it and just kind of like takes the hit and is like grim, stiff upper lip, like I'm just gonna soldier on through this. But the second riot police takes the core of energy into his chest and just like collapses to one knee, and you can tell he's like on death's door, just like bleeding from the mouth, like spits out blood. You know, he's like almost dropped his shotgun, his gears hanging off him, armor plates falling away, and he's in bad shape.
I forgot to add, for the ones that fail the saving throw, they can't take reactions until the start of its next turn.
Okay. He is held down by Ben Biofuel's wires, and he is restrained. So he's going to take his action, as hurt as he is, to try to break free. Ben, can you remind me of the
15.
the DC? Okay. Oh, he gets a 19.
Oh,
So he breaks free for a total of like 24. He breaks free, manages to break out of the grip of your concrete jungle vines. And while blind, because he can't see anything, he turns around and he just starts running. He is clearly bugging out. He's like, I have gotten fucked up. I am trying to get away from here. And so he runs, and I'm literally going to roll a d4 here for a random direction to see which way he runs.
Good.
Because he can't see. Oh my God. He runs right at you.
Good.
He just runs. He runs like he sprints as much as he can run fast. He runs right like between you, between Ben Biofuel and Viper, and you are both going to get an opportunity for an opportunity attack as he passes you.
All right.
Hell
Maybe
yeah.
just an unarmed attack melee, because that's all I got.
Yep.
This was the really damaged guy?
This guy is fucked up.
Oh, he's
14. Does a 14 hit?
A 14 is his DC, so that hits.
Yes, his AC. So that's
Or sorry,
yeah,
AC, yeah.
2. Yeah, that'll be 2 damage because it's my strength modifier is 1. So
Okay.
it's 1 plus 1. Yeah, so 2. He takes 2.
And Viper, let's get your opportunity attack. Oh wait, you know what? Kyle, roll again because you have advantage. He's blind, so just in case you get a 20.
Yeah.
No 20.
Okay. So Viper, give me 2 rolls.
Hang on, I'm not used to my unarmed thing.
Well,
I didn't
an
look at
opportunity attack doesn't have to be unarmed. He doesn't have anything in his hands. Do you have a weapon?
So yeah.
I am the weapon. Oh.
So yeah, unarmed strike will be
blokes that I pair up with.
I guess I'll just roll a hit first, but
Yeah.
Dasher not used to be the only person in the
it's
whole
your
group
strength
armed.
modifier plus your proficiency will be the to hit.
Yeah.
oh, so it's not the D20.
It's D20.
Well, you
No,
roll
to
a
hit is
D20
still D20
Okay.
plus strength
Alright.
plus proficiency.
So that'll be an
But also,
8 to hit.
What did you roll?
8.
So is that the highest of the two rolls?
Oh, I roll again.
Yes, you roll again.
Use that advantage.
14.
That hits. There you go.
Okay. You said strength plus proficiency.
You do
is
1
mine?
damage because it's 1 plus strength modifier, and your modifier is 0.
Oh yeah, it's one.
You
Yeah,
do 1
I
damage.
just not that
This
strong.
guy has 1 HP.
I just kind of backhand him.
So
Flick him in the ear.
So it is just enough. That 1 damage is just enough
Good.
Gonna
to
mean back.
put this cop out of his misery.
That's
sprinting
one tough
at
bird.
you.
She just one-handed slapped that man to death.
Ben, Biofuel, and Viper 1-2 this guy as he's running between them, and he goes down hard, like unconscious before he hits the ground, hits the dirt, and just like slides on the concrete for a few inches, and he is out. Strike 1, Lisbon City Police, and we are back to the top of the order. Dasher, you're
Lad?
up.
Wait, what about
Oh,
Lad?
I'm sorry, Lad. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lad. Jump in.
It's me. Okay. Just for fun, I'm going to cast, as my bonus action, a spectral barricade, which is a glowing barricade that can deflect projectiles, appears at a point within range. So I'm going to put it like 5 feet ahead of all of us. I can choose the orientation. I'm going to do it horizontally. It's going to be up to 20 feet long and 3 feet high, and basically it acts as half cover for all of us in case he shoots at us. But over the top, I am going to do a Toll the Dead, which is kind of like, I don't know how it's going to work. I guess I should ask you if he is hearing impaired at the moment, if a loud sound would affect him or not. If not, I can choose something else.
Because they are both deafened until Scott's next turn, a loud sound would not have any effect.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to
Now, what if
blast him
the
with a flame
DM already
then.
said it was my turn, though, and now it's we went backwards in time? I feel like that should...
Fucked it up, Scott. Fucked it up.
I'm going to blast them with flames instead.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
So this
I like
is going
this
to be...
idea a lot more.
Yeah, it's going to be a Dex 16 save for them.
Okay. So Sarge, hanging on, manages to make the save, but his underling officer does not. So tell me what kind of damage we're talking about here as they're lit up.
We're doing 11 total damage. And the officer takes 0.
I'm sorry, what?
The officer takes 0. Just the
Oh,
underling would take the 11.
the Sarge, by making the save, takes 0 damage?
Yep.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now we're back to the top of the order. Oh, are you gonna move anywhere, Landy, or are you gonna stay put?
I'm just gonna duck behind the wall that I created.
Special barrier. Okay.
Yep.
We're not running.
Dasher, you're up.
I mean, I vote run, but you all are still there.
And I'm
Is
taking
that
my full
a
movement to.
two-way? I can't shoot through it, I'm assuming.
It's
right?
only 3 feet high, so you can shoot
Okay.
over it.
Oh, there. Well, that's fine.
It's just if you want to duck behind it, you can have half cover.
That's fair. But yeah, okay. Only if we duck behind it. So they don't have half cover by being between me and it, then I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah, you can just shoot right over it.
Cool. Well, I will, since I see nobody is coming, I guess, I'm going to continue to move up. I want to get at least 80 feet away, because that's the maximum range of my thumper. I want to be as far away from them shooting me as possible.
Is
Scott,
it difficult? Is this difficult terrain? Is that what you said about the area, or no? I don't remember.
So there's like rubble and stuff, but it's not so
Okay.
copious that you can't walk. It's not half movement speed. And in any event, Scott is far enough away that like the rubble from the wall is he's left that behind.
Good.
Viper, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Your attack prevented the police from doing reactions. Is it until your next turn? Is it for a certain period of time?
It was until the start of like the target's next turn.
Their next turn. Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure that the target was the one that died, right? It was the weak one that didn't get...
No, so you targeted the sergeant.
But only, I think, the ones who failed the save can't do the reactions? Is that what it was?
It's the failed save people that...
Got it. Okay. In that case, because the sergeant made his save, he is going to have his reaction free. Mm-hmm. So, Scott, tell me what you want to do.
Okay. What I want to do.
I'm thinking out loud. I'm like,
okay,
I want to make sure I don't
fair
get
enough.
Yeah.
However far away I am, as far as I can keep moving until I hit 80 feet, that's as far as I want to move. And then we'll just load another shot into the old thumper and fire it off at him, back there. As I'm yelling, like, come on, everybody, this way, please. Let's get out. And we'll take a shot.
Who are you aiming at?
With the thumper, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to hit. Or wait, they're still restrained within.
Yes, the Sarge beat the restraint, so he can move freely.
All right.
But the one remaining riot police is restrained. Yes.
Okay. Well, I was still aiming for the Sarge, which I'm definitely going to miss because I got a 9, and I won't have any more advantage because he's not blinded, and if he's not restrained on it, right? That's a miss. But the good news is, when I miss with my explosive weapons, just give me a second to find where the hell I have this written at. When I miss, I can detonate it instead in an adjacent square, and then the targets will take half damage from the roll that I do. Anyway.
So remind me, did you aim at the Sarge or the rifle?
I was aiming at the Sarge, and I missed. But I
you
can
wanted
then
to detonate
decide to detonate the shot within the square next to them. And I was wrong earlier when I said they only take the blast damage. They just take half damage if they're within 10 feet. So both of them will take half damage from whatever I roll here then.
Got it. Roll me some damage then.
Oof. Here we go. Okay, that is... Right now it's 6. I'm going to take the risk and try to re-roll the piercing part of that, which was a good thing to do because now it is 10 damage, halved to 5 that they're each going to take from that explosion. And yeah, they're not. There's no way there's any sort of sneak attacks involved in any of this right now. I don't believe it wouldn't matter anyway because I didn't hit. So. I think I've already yelled at everybody else to get moving. What I will do is use my bonus action to just throw a smoke bomb into the area where the chief and the officer are right now, which will create an obscured, what's it called? Heavily obscured area for a 20-foot radius, I believe.
Okay. And that heavy obscuration.
Yes.
Does it have an effect on attack rolls?
What a great question. I assume you probably attack with disadvantage with that obscurity. I should probably have looked up what it means to heavily obscured in 5e, what it means. Let's look it up. It says a creature effectively suffers from the blinded condition when they're in a heavily obscured area.
Double blind.
Yeah.
And you said it was a 20-foot radius?
It is, 20-foot radius that I would position it, I guess if I could, so that all of us are on whoever's the furthest away from me, I want it right on the edge of them, right? I don't want them to be in the radius, but I want to go up to where they're at so that it's harder for the police to just walk right through. If I don't want to center the radius on them,
I understand.
Yeah.
So it's more further back than they are. It's further into the prison yard than they are, but it does you place the bomb sufficiently so that the smoke kind of billows out from this canister. and kind of wafts forward until it's like a foot or 2 or 3 feet away from the leading edge of your party, which is, I believe, Viper and Ben, kind of standing at the edge of the hole of the wall.
And that will disperse, I think, after like a minute is how long it lasts, or if there's heavy winds, it disperses faster. I don't know if you're keeping track of the wind right now.
Let me check the weather report I had written for this day. I planned everything to a T. So the Sarge, now no longer restrained, now not blinded by a flashbang, but choking on this smoke bomb, runs forward and slides by, or tries to slide by, Viper, and is just gonna tank whatever kind of opportunity attack
Here we go.
he's gonna deliver.
Slap him to death.
Slap him. Give him the slap of death again.
So roll for your opportunity attack.
Oh,
And he's
man.
blinded, so it's an advantage again, right?
That's right.
How did he pass me? I thought I moved a little further away. That's cock? No, okay, never mind. I was like, how did that happen?
Well, did you move away from the hole, or were you still right up on the line with Ben?
So I didn't get a chance to say it, but my intention was to move with my movement away.
I should be up near the wall because I put up that wall at our leading edge. So I guess it would be me and Ben up there by the wall.
Okay. So in that case, if we have Viper has moved away, then I'm gonna flip a coin. Is it gonna be Ben or is it gonna be Lad that the sergeant emerges from the smoke near? Who's higher on the list? Ben. Re-emerges near Ben.
This wall
Big
is
Ben.
like a Destiny 2 Titan shield, right? If he touches it, his health drops to 1 HP, like instantly.
Exactly.
It's super broken.
With advantage, that unarmed strike, I punch him for 11 to hit.
That's with advantage?
Yeah.
Yikes, that's a miss. You whiff. He feels the air of the punch kind of, fly past his ear. And with his movement speed, he makes it out of the smoke and turns on Ben and whips a combat shotgun off his back and fires twice at Ben.
Is that considered technology?
No, this is
Okay.
combat shotguns
If
are
your
as
cybernetics
old world
don't
as it
count,
gets.
how the fuck are you going to try to count this?
Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Sounds good.
I gotta look at his proficiency bonus. Does an 8 or a 10 hit?
No, sure does not.
Yeah. So
School.
oh wait, I'm sorry. I was not using the plus to hit.
Oh,
Plus 7 to hit. So does an 11 or a 13 hit?
nope.
Okay. So luckily for Ben, Sarge runs on by and fires 2 quick blasts off his hip, and both go wide. And it's Riot Police 2 time. He is still restrained. Remind me, if he's restrained, he can't move, but can he take an action? Can he fire
Yeah,
his
he
weapon?
can. It's it'd be his attack would be with disadvantage.
So
And he's also in a cloud of smoke. And
he's also in a
blinded.
cloud of
And he's
smoke.
blinded.
Yeah.
Well, he's no longer blinded, so the blindness is. I'm sorry, he's blind, not blinded from the flashbang. He's
Yes.
smoke blind. He's not
Yes.
flashbang blind. So he is. Do we roll with double disadvantage? Is that a thing that we do?
That's your call.
I think that's a thing that we do. So we're gonna roll with double disadvantage.
Good.
He's gonna fire off his shotgun at in Lad's direction, where he thinks Lad is.
And I'm also in half cover. So
You are in half cover, so it's the likelihood of him hitting something.
Or
Yeah.
no, half cover makes your AC go up. Too.
Your
That's
AC
what-
higher, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he misses. He does not. He does not hit. It doesn't even. The shots don't even hit your wall. They just like sail over. He way overestimated how like high the rubble wall on the outside of this wall is. All right, Ben.
Good.
You're face to face with an angry sergeant with a shotgun in your face.
How far is the street?
The street is, because you haven't moved away from the wall at all, the street's about 60 feet.
Okay. Dang, my walking speed is 55 feet. Are we trying to get out of here? Are we trying to fight this guy still? Like, we're trying to leave, right? I should just leave.
I'm gonna beef with this guy. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Let's get out.
No beef
Yeah,
here.
I'm gonna turn from him and move away from him, and so he'll probably get an opportunity attack against me.
Yeah, if you're choosing to disengage, he's gonna get the crack shot off at you.
I'm just gonna move away from him. So yeah, I'm not gonna try to avoid any opportunity attack. But so I'm gonna move away, and as I'm moving, I'm just gonna say, "Let's get out of here!" And I'm gonna cast Pass Without Trace as I'm moving. That's gonna end the entangle spell on the other guy. But gonna cast Pass Without Trace. Then I'm gonna say, "Get in the car!" And as I get close to the street, I'm going to bonus action wild shape into a car.
What the futz?
Yeah.
So for the benefit, particularly and mainly for me, what kind of car is this? And you know, give us a little color on your transformation.
Oh yeah. Well, his arms and legs are like metal arms. He turns into a car somehow as a transformer. It doesn't make sense. He's still a human, but he's got like this like battery that is like in his chest that like lights up as he wild shapes. But he wild shapes into this car, and you see him like turn this magical, not magical, but technological being turn into this beautiful blue Prius. and it's clearly fully electric, and you just hear a meep meep, and he's like, yeah, and now he's just sitting there. And
I was like, Testarossa, Prius. Okay, well, with that, that draws some attention. So obviously, you're going to draw an opportunity attack from our police sergeant.
Well, it would draw attention, but I did cast Pass Without Trace.
So I haven't said whose attention it's drawing.
Oh, okay.
So our police sergeant is having a rough day. He rolled a nat 1 on his opportunity attack.
Good.
And while he's like trying to jab at you while you move away, he's trying to hold on to too many things. He's got a pistol in one hand, he's got a shotgun in the other, and he tries to hit you, and he drops his pistol, like clatters to the ground, effectively disarming himself of one of the weapons.
Why you need a sling, mate? See, can't drop it.
So as your transformation occurs, the line of police that is kind of has been ragged and like somewhat, maintained is starting to break, and these gang members are starting to get the upper hand. Just the sheer weight of the rioters and the roar of the crowd, the burning tires, the red anti-capitalist flags like banners waving in the back start to shatter the police line. And with like almost a desultory look, a couple of the gang members break through the line and go sprinting into the gap, like into this ball of smoke that still exists from Dasher's smoke bomb. And as the Sarge like watches them run by, the riot officer who's still inside, he's blind, he can't see anything. He's like hearing people run by him. He's not sure what's going on. But they run in, and by the time your transformation is done, they have re-emerged from the smoke, and hanging between them, just like beat to shit, is this inmate that you noticed, hiding, that tipped you off to the explosion in the first place. Dragon tattoos on the sides of his head, and you can see he's cut. He's got electric burn marks from shock batons, and it looks like one of his arms ate a chunk of a shotgun blast, and it's just like hanging off. Like it's a cybernetic arm, but it's like hanging on by a thread. And they help this guy like limp out of the hole. And that brings up in the initiative order, Kitty, are you going to try to get out of here? Or are you going to keep the fight going?
Well, Sergeant Guy is still pretty close to Lad and Ben.
He's about 15 feet away from you.
Well, I'm out. I'm close to the street now. I'm
Ben has made
next to the street as my Prius. And
Ben has almost made the street.
Yeah,
15 feet away. How far am I from Ben?
From Ben, you are.
I've only had one turn so far to move.
Yeah.
So
you are about you can make it to where Ben is. You're like
Okay.
30 feet away from where you.
And Sergeant is still at disadvantage. Or
No,
can you shake
he
that
is
off?
not under the effects of any disadvantage right now.
Okay. So I'm going to.
Don't worry about me. Go.
Daisy to the pavies. Let's go, 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 go.
I want to. Where'd it go? Please come back. My gosh. I want to jam his weapon. And that is a. Oh my goodness. There's many things that I have that I gotta find again.
I'm control Fing. Jam is a bonus action. You cause a firearm within 60 feet of you that you can see to malfunction. The next attack made with that firearm within 1 minute is made with disadvantage. If a creature is holding the firearm, it makes an intelligence saving throw. On a successful save, the firearm is unaffected. So he's got to make a successful intelligence saving. Unfortunately for him, intelligence not his strongest suit.
Heck yeah.
Big surprise. But let's see how he rolls. What's your spell save?
14.
Oh, he fails it.
Very good.
So imperceptible to him. In the fighting, his visor's been knocked off. He doesn't see you spike his weapon, but you see, like in the ley lines of the cybernet that floats through the air, you see it affect his weapon, and you know the next time he tries to fire that weapon, it may misfire. And were you going to move as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
I book it and hop into the car.
Okay. While you're doing this, our gang members have made the street. They are booking it. They're sprinting with their buddy, and you can see some of the other gang members have kind of fought a hole through the cops. And you see, even though he's really beat up, he looks over his shoulder and kind of clocks you guys, and sees that you're running too, and whispers he leans over his head over to one of the other gang members that's carrying him, and as they kind of hustle him onto the back of a motorcycle, one of the gang members that was carrying him looks at you guys and calls out in Chinese / Portuguese pidgin patois dialect. Goes, "Follow us!" and hops on his own motorcycle and kind of tears off down the street.
That's something to do.
I mean, it's up to the car. I'm in the car now.
Yeah.
Well, so Lad, you're up.
The car's mercy.
You've got nothing between you and the car, but some movement. You can dash if you want to get there first, or you can try to give the cops some party shots.
Am I still within 60 feet of the fucked up guy that kind of tipped us off? Or is he out of here by now?
He is like, you can see him like getting down the street, kind of weaving through. He's on the back of a motorcycle. He's barely hanging on.
Yeah,
and
basically, I want to healing word him as I make my way to the car.
Okay. What you said is 60 feet is the limit?
But I can move up to 90 feet.
So he's like at the very edge of that. But
Okay, so I'm going to get all the way up to the car and then like kind of heal him as I get in the car.
And how much do you heal him?
That would be for 8.
Okay.
The hell is healing word in the technological world?
I'm weaving his cybernetic arm together a little bit more so that it hangs on his motorcycle ride.
Okay.
Bro, just do what Marvel does, nanotechnology.
Yeah,
It's all,
I just picture him like
right.
yelling and little healing nanobots come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, you've made it to Ben. Ben, you've got a full car.
Wait, is
And
it my turn?
Well, it's technically
It's-
my turn, but let's assume I'm hopping in the car.
I was going to say Dasher. I think
Okay.
it is Dasher's turn at the top of the
Yeah. I hop
Initiative order.
in to the driver's seat. Hopefully, it's not taken.
Are you gonna take a dash action?
Of course.
But
Now I'm gonna ask Ben to kick Lad out of the car and then head out. Yeah.
Deservedly so.
I am following. I'm following them. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. As the frustrated police sergeant sees you tear off,
I'm waving,
electrically
like,
fueled
out the
tires
back window.
burning out. he like throws his shotgun to the ground and like rips his helmet off and runs back into the prison to try to help his buddy out. And we are out of initiative order.
Woo!
As you're weaving through this crowd, the rioters are hearing the increased police presence. You start to see helicopters overhead, gunships. There are snipers. You can see like laser lines from their scopes as these helicopters start to descend upon the smoking prison. And the rioters, realizing that the jig really is up now, and that the core force that was pushing the violence of this riot has departed, they start to scatter. And as they start to scatter, the street kind of opens up before you, and you're able to weave through the various protesters and rioters as they're running away from this all-out melee combat that's swamped the street outside. And I want Viper to give me an Arcana roll.
Okay.
We really picked a good day to get arrested.
And I will say, so I casted Pass Without a Trace, so it's like I'm not leaving any tracks behind me when I'm driving. That lasts for 10 minutes, so whenever that 10 minutes is up, I don't know if we've been driving like full 10 minutes at this point, but
And that's like
So
plus 10 to stealth rolls too, right?
yeah.
So you're only a couple thousand feet from the prison, but you can see the effects of your technological camouflage are effective, because as the gunships kind of start to float in over the prison, taking shots at random passerby, at vehicles, anything that the police deem to be a potential threat, you just glide right past.
Honestly, I don't even think you need
spotlights.
it on a Prius. Nobody's viewing it as a threat, and the damn thing is so quiet. We don't even need Pass Without Trace.
I was going to say, you burned out, but there was no rubber tire marks left on the street.
The real threat are all these gas guzzling, toxic pieces of crap around me,
And take a look at the sky next time you're a human. I think the damage is already done, buddy.
We can save this Earth. We can save it if we all get together. If we all go electric. I'm not saying this right now. I'm going beep, 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 with my horn.
You're not speaking through the radio like Bumblebee
I
from
would love
Transformers?
to be able to do that if you let me. Yeah, so speak through the car.
I'm fiddling with the knob if he is, just turning him up and down while he's talking. Just to mess with it.
There's so many ways to go with that. Fiddling with his knob, turning him up, turning him down.
I know.
Man,
I'm uncomfortable touching anything in this car, honestly. Cause
Yeah, what's
guys
the
are
interior
great friends.
feel like? Is it like
the
leather?
leather is like
Is
human
it-
skin color.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just don't try to downshift. You're good.
DM, I rolled a
dice
13.
The
I
dice
have a
hanging
plus
in the
6.
front are just a little too fuzzy.
Yeah. Ooh,
So
no.
a 13 and Kitty, a 13 on your Arcana roll?
Yeah, that's with a plus
Okay.
6 Arcana.
So
Welcome to my
Viper,
rolls.
being very in tune with the cybernet and the way it exerts itself, makes itself known in kind of the real world, can see a faint trace in the street that is glowing alternatively like kind of a lime green and then like a deep red. And it kind of wafts back and forth between those two colors. And you recognize it as a tracer signal on the motorcycle that has been purposely left for you. And it seems to be guiding your where you're supposed to go. The motorcycles that you watched these gang members take off on are kind of so far ahead now that you can't see them. They've gone much further ahead, much faster than you were able to negotiate the kind of departing rioting crowds. But they've left this trace for you to follow.
Biker gang is faster than a Prius? You think so?
I relay this information to the driver. Say, take a right, take a left. On that bridge.
What driver?
I'm the driver.
She's talking to me. The driver, yeah.
I just kind of out loud just announce.
Speak to the car. It's like treat it like Knight Rider. It's you're just talking to the car.
It drives itself, right? Yeah. Follows directions.
Does the car drive itself, Ben?
Oh no, I am the car.
Yeah.
I'm driving. Yeah.
So following this trace leads you into the twisting underbelly of New Lisbon City. As you're following this trace, you move between. It's clearly a path that is meant to lose pursuers. Clearly a path that's meant to only be followed by someone that can see this individual trace. You're going on ramps onto major 6-lane highways, and then immediately back off through alleys and side streets choked with debris and the kind of collective clutter of centuries of lack of any kind of meaningful government, any kind of social or public service. And as you're driving through this city, you're passing red and pink and blue bright neon signs and holograms that are advertising things at you from every corner. And one advertising, one company that keeps coming up over and over again, one of the more powerful companies that corporations in this city is the Hihachi Corporation, and they have a really distinct symbol with it, which is a big English H, and it says Corp across the middle bar of the H. And the advertisements you notice are because of the persistent cybernet that's present in the city that is inescapable by anybody who's an adult and has access to even the most basic cybernetics, is based off of your personal desires, your personal purchase history, because your personal information, your data, the things that make up your kind of cybernetic image are all available 100% of the time to the corporations and are updated constantly through your interactions with the cybernet, unless you do a very good job of hiding who you actually are. So that the only person in this vehicle that has any indication that these advertisements are not tracking them is Viper, because Viper has made a history of hiding herself on the cybernet and making sure she can't be tracked. Well, the rest of you, unfortunately, are not as lucky. And you see, as you're driving through the city, advertisements for things like demolition explosives, that someone might use in a construction job, or organic engine fuel that you can use to keep your car running nice and smooth without using fossil fuels.
It's specifically really just Corona ads that Ben sees. Just lots of Corona ads.
Lad, what would Lad see? What would the corporations of the future be interested in selling to Lad on this Cyber Monday?
I would say that his interests are in getting people clean from drugs, so probably some sort of methadone kind of thing.
Maybe some self-help digital novels, digital books.
You never know.
There's new age gospel music that's relevant to your religion that's being advertised. So you get the distinct feeling that you're being kind of passively tracked through the cybernet out there. Do you want to try to do anything to combat this, or do you want to kind of just accept it as the world as it is?
I kind of want to buy some explosives, personally.
Oh, they got you good.
Who's got me?
Hihachi Corporation.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. They make all the best explosives, so yeah, they've got my number.
You do notice that the patent pending, the trademarks on all your explosives have this little H Corp on it.
So can we tell what each other is seeing, or is it specifically just for us?
It is specifically delivered only to you.
Okay, so we have no idea that Viper is not affected.
Correct.
Okay.
And you can't see what the others are seeing. The advertising is delivered through the cybernet to your vision alone, and so it's almost like everybody that walks past the same advertisement is going to see a different advertisement specifically aimed at them.
Lad is just going to tune it out then.
So these kind of flash past you as you're driving, and as you get into kind of the older city down by the wharf. Which is, Lisbon. Lisbon, of course, old Lisbon was an infamous port town and kind of the door to Europe for hundreds of years, thousands of years of human history, and continues to be. But the water of the Atlantic Ocean is now black and hopelessly poisoned. There's nothing living in this water anymore. The ecosystem, off the shore has hopelessly collapsed, and there's a persistent stink of just like dead, just rotting death that wafts in off of the water. And as a result, deep in kind of the underbelly of the city, far below the overpass, highway overpasses, and even the smaller kind of high-rise buildings that don't reach the cloud layer. This is where kind of the poorest and most downtrodden and most, violent and scrappy gangs have made their lair. And as you follow this trace into this neighborhood, you start to notice the dragon that you noticed on sides of the heads of the gang members that you saw in the riot, scratched in kind of crude etchings along the concrete and plasteel walls of the buildings you're riding by, like poor graffiti. You notice there's a lot. As you slow down, moving through these kind of tight streets, there's a lot of motorcycles around. Just more than you would imagine, could fit into a neighborhood that seems this poor. Particularly given the fact that you're in such a slum neighborhood. A lot of these motorcycles look expensive. They look modified heavily. They look illegal in almost every fashion. You can see like weapon emplacements on some of them that are, that retract. There are rocket boosters on a few. Like, you get the feeling that this gang has a very specific calling card. And the trace that you're following leads to what looks like an abandoned wharfside warehouse. Abandoned to any normal passerby. But the four of you spot the lookouts on the corners of the warehouse high up, keeping an eye on the neighborhood. And as you silently glide up with the electric engine to the gate, it screeches open on kind of ancient rusted wire fencing and gives you passage into the interior of this warehouse.
During all that, I want to turn to Lad at some point and just be like, so what can we expect when we get in there? Right? What's the plan?
I have no idea, but if we get close enough to them, I can read their thoughts.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean you don't have any idea? You healed that guy. Aren't these your friends?
Don't know him, but he helped us out, so I helped him out.
It's a gang.
Did he help us though, or did we help him?
Did we get out? Was the explosives enough to get us out? I would say they were.
He was just there. He didn't even warn us. We just happened to notice.
Well, we trust them enough to follow them. I guess we'll find out.
I thought you knew him. I thought that's what was happening. Viper, do you know him?
I know it's a gang. Besides that, I'm not familiar with them enough to know their name.
Ben? Beep beep? Honk honk?
Nothing.
Well, all right then.
Ran out of battery, I guess.
Well, maybe, hopefully it's good. Just everyone be ready, I guess.
Can't be much worse than the jail.
So, careful what you wish for. So, as you
are that great either.
as you glide to a stop and Ben's headlights illuminate, turn into kind of an opening outside the warehouse, and the gate kind of creaks shut behind you. The headlights illuminate a burly, cybernetically enhanced thug. He's shirtless. He's got one half of his head shaved. You can see the kind of etching, the dragon tattoo on one side of his head. And he's leaning against the aging brick of the warehouse wall with his hands, massive arms crossed over his chest. And you can see one eye has been replaced with a cybernetic replacement. And he seems to be just like quietly regarding you as you pull up. And without waiting for any of you to get out of the car, but like while in the spotlight of Ben's headlights, he kind of just shakes, nods his head over to the right, and then disappears into the shadow of the warehouse. And you can see further back in the warehouse, you can see what looks like welding, like a welding torch or lamp that's kind of sparking, going off and on at various intervals, kind of maybe 30 or 40 feet back in the shadow.
He's going into the warehouse at this point.
Mm-hmm. So there's a garage door in the warehouse, like you could drive into, but it would be a tight fit. Like you would be able to make it into this, but there wouldn't. It looks like from the light of your headlights, there wouldn't be a whole lot of room on either side.
I'm staying put, so that's all I can do. I can't really communicate. So whatever you guys want to do.
You putting the flashers on, warning flashers?
Yeah, it's on the hazard. It's a thinking hazard. I don't know. Should we get out of the vehicle? What do our other party members think?
I would imagine we're pretty hot right now in the city, so maybe we should take some time to lay low.
I got good AC in the car. I got good AC. We're not that hot.
That's fair enough. We got a bit of an element of surprise with the. I guess we'll just leave you in park.
I turn on the AC a little bit more on her side. Direct
That's
the vent
just.
toward
It just
her.
smells like fish and
I see. I thought you meant
seawater.
armor
Like
class in the car. I was very
Hold
confused by having a
No,
AC.
it's the air conditioning.
I see now.
Yeah.
Did you brush your teeth recently?
Me?
Because,
Ben Biofuel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Ben, yeah, he brushes his teeth every day.
Okay.
Why is it humid?
No latent
guy.
tooth decay in there.
He
All
takes
right,
care of
so
himself.
the AC has like a faint minty freshness to it.
Oh, I'm gonna get out. I don't really care for the smell of Ben's breath. I'm gonna hop out and hoof it from here, I think. But before I get out, change my clothes to not look like I am a prison guard, copping out in the middle of this.
Good call.
Yeah, and take off my gas mask, I guess, as well, that I've just been wearing this whole time.
Hey lad,
Hop
you gonna
out.
keep that box of things that I see there?
Oh, yeah, you got her stuff still.
I assumed I had already handed it to you, but if I have not, then I do hand it to you.
I reacquire my things.
So Viper, as you kind of re-equip, one of the things you realize about this warehouse is that you can see kind of the ley lines of the cybernet that kind of stick in some ways to the structures around this neighborhood, and in other ways bend between them and kind of establish a network, like a wire mesh network kind of around where this is. This is a black spot in the middle of that web. Like it looks like they're using suppression technology to keep prying eyes out. Whereas like this is there's an obvious like spot in this neighborhood for someone who knows how to look that people are trying to keep from being turned up.
It's part of my gear. I'm putting on my AR glasses.
Okay, and does that provide you dark vision?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so, because night vision goggles exist as a separate item. In
Fair
the
point.
thing,
Yeah.
Fair point.
This helps me see augmented reality things, or like if people are casting something, I can see the visible effects of that.
So
I do have dark vision up to 300 feet. I don't know if that helps in this situation.
So lad, you can see kind of in the back of this warehouse where this like kind of bright, shocking, like intermittent light is going. Dark vision, you don't get any color. You just kind of see in grays, but you can see there's 3 people in the kind of toward the back of this warehouse, and there's like a low IR light, like an infrared light that's pointed directly down, and you can see 3 figures. You see the one figure, big guy, hands crossed, is standing next to the other 2. The second is leaning over the third, and he's got what looks like a torch or a welding tool or like a soldering tool or something, and he's working on the third one. And the third one is laid out on a metal table, and it looks like he's staying still. He's not moving at all. He's just like laying there getting worked on.
Did anybody relay this information about this being a dark spot for the web or anything to the rest of us? Would they pass that knowledge on?
Suppose
Viper?
I could bring that up, be like, oh, interesting, this place is not connected to ley lines.
That's all I need to know to go into there, because then police, things that are tracking me, can't see me in here, that I'm going into here. That's good enough for me for right now. So I'm officially hopping out of the car, putting some narrative propulsion on this. Let's get the fuck in there.
We'll tie that back to when I said that this could be a good place to lay low.
Yeah.
So as you do that, Dasher, the kind of low thump, 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 thump of helicopter blades can be heard, kind of distant but slowly approaching, and that the large thug comes back over to the door and kind of jerks his head inside and starts to ratchet down the door to close it up.
Get a little hustle, boys. Sydney Lauper's on the rise. Let's get moving. That'd be city choppers. Yeah. The cockney rhyming slang for you.
Such a specific joke.
I love it, though. I love it. Like, if you had not worked Cockney rhyming slang into this, I would have been imminently disappointed.
Ben's like tilting the chairs of anybody else who's in the car out so that he can like get everybody out so he can get out of his wild shape form.
You don't want us to be inside of you when it happens?
Yeah.
I'm on my way to the door.
All right.
I'm following Dasher.
So as you walk in, you notice that the big thug who's ushering you inside, he ratchets the door shut and turns around and walks through this like almost completely black room. And his cybernetic eye, you notice, shifts color into like an infrared. And so he's able to navigate this room effortlessly because he can see it entirely with an eye that is, completely technological.
Dasher busts out one of his little glow stick things, like what I know Viper mentioned she has as well, but I'm just like, everyone else can see the dark. I'm just like, crack, get it going as bright as I can. 1 second, one second, everyone. All right, there we go.
So this muscle-bound thug, he looks down and he goes, "Come." He turns around and walks back toward the two other figures toward the back of the shop. And you notice now that this is like definitely a chop shop. There's there's a lift at one end with a car up on it. There's a number of tables like with strewn motorcycle gear, and toward the kind of the right side of this like garage is like stacks upon stacks of like boxes of just varying levels of illicit and illegal material. Like you see some narcotic drugs, you see some low-level explosives, you see some firearms, you see like there's anti-capitalist propaganda that's been banned. There's what looks like, data sticks and data tapes that have probably been stolen. It might have like, seized corporate data on it. And like all of this kind of at a very brief look at like, these guys have their fingers in a lot of different pies. They are clearly connected. And that this appears to be a safe house that they're operating for their gang.
Ben feels very at home around all the mechanical stuff, but I want to specifically know, is this all gas cars? Is it electric? What's the technology here? Am I happy to see all this, what they're working on, or is it?
So
is it
from what you can see in this kind of like low light, you can certainly see some older model, like fossil fueled, motorcycle engines have been torn down. You see one like hydroelectric, like hydrogen fueled engine that someone looks like they've been testing on a motorbike. You don't see any like specific biofuel engines, but just because you can't see it here doesn't mean they're not there somewhere. But that's what you can see from kind of this like brief, low light look.
So I'm, there. Good. He's at least somewhat pleased to see that it's not all gas and everything, but he doesn't like the gas ones.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Going back to the guy that was laying on the bed surface or whatever, having work done on him. Was he did he seem conscious?
You couldn't tell from being that far back.
Okay.
All that Lad could see is that he is. So your AR scope, Viper, is dead. There's nothing, you can't see any kind of cybernetic technology that's casting an aura here. There's no it seems to be a complete blackout spot.
Okay.
And you can't tell whether that's because it's a suppression field, or whether there's some kind of cloak that's been cast from outside that kind of shields everything on the inside. But your scope is completely dead. There's just nothing showing up.
Gotcha.
Lad, what you were able to see is that he's lying down from the distance that you were, but as you get closer, you realize that the sparking is what looks like the best dressed gang member you've ever seen. He's wearing what looks like to be a waistcoat and a tie, and his sleeves are rolled up, and on his shirt sleeves are rolled up, but on his arms are completely sleeved up, totally tatted up, everything from wrist up. You see some of it peeking over the shirt collar. You can tell his entire torso is probably covered in tattoos. And he sports the same sides of his hair shaved, but he does not have the dragon tattoos on the side of his head. And he's peering down through a multi-lensed set of glasses where he's swapping out lenses at various points with different colors, which give him a detailed look at the interior of this mangled, ruined cybernetic arm of your former prison inmate companion, who got into a 1v3 fight with the cops and got the shit kicked out of him. And he's lying on the table in obvious discomfort and lots of pain. It looks like he's got a massive bruise that's blossoming. You can see in the sparking on his ribs. You can see he's cut in a couple of different places. And his arm, of course, which he can feel pain in, is currently being worked on, what it looks like, without any kind of cybernetic anesthetic. There is a vial of what looks like a relatively expensive narcotic that is empty, that's lying next to him. It looks like he probably took it prior to this cybernetic surgery. But he's lying there in pretty obvious pain, as his arm is kind of being zapped back together. But as you come around the corner and the kind of low-level red IR light that's over him illuminates you briefly, and the glow sticks kind of bring some light in, he looks up and his face breaks into a smile. He goes, "My friends, welcome. I can't thank you enough for helping me out. I imagine I helped you a bit, popped a little hole in that wall, but I am so grateful to see you, because I'm going to be honest. I need your help. Once again."
Now, just to be clear, mate, you called us friends. Do we know each other? Because I kind of have a whole amnesia thing going on. I just want to make sure you invited us in. I'm not being rude if I don't remember you.
He chuckles and then stiffens up as a spark hits a particularly sensitive nerve. No, we have not met before tonight, but when I was being beaten to a pulp, you distracted them and I was able to get my boys to get me out. Listen, I'm supposed to make contact later tonight. I can't. My ribs are broken. I've taken more drugs to help dull the pain, but nothing will knit my ribs back together. And Jose here, and he kind of nods to the nicely dressed cyber doctor who is working on his arm. Jose here says he's not going to have my arm done for another 6 or 7 hours. Our meeting is in 2. And I need your help. I need you to go in my stead. I need to make contact with a member of the underground. Do you know the underground?
Do I know the underground?
So give me a nature roll.
Oh, nature.
Yeah, I played a lot of Need for Speed Underground back in the day. I got it with the PlayStation 2, if you've heard of it.
I'll be 12.
I got
12.
a 20.
Landy?
I have a +0, but oh shit, I got a nat 20.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Nice.
All right, Ben, what did you get? What did you
What
roll?
was this, a history check? Or
Nature,
nature.
nature? Oh,
Who knows the streets better than Ben?
a 6. I got a
Everyone.
6.
Everyone does.
I was too hung up on the vintage Need for Speed Underground.
You're too busy
that-
lecturing the guy next to you on the advantages of electric versus gasoline.
Yes, exactly.
So, 3 of you have heard of the Underground, and it is a shadowy organization that is dedicated to assisting with the recovery and then escape from corporate control of burgeoning artificial intelligences. It's a radical organization on the outskirts of the kind of anti-capitalist movement that has taken a solid hold of the political underpinnings in New Lisbon City. It's an extreme organization, but they are of the belief that artificial intelligence is sentient and therefore is deserving of the same rights as any other living thing, and that they deserve to be allowed to develop and be left in peace. You've seen the news. There's been a number of high-profile corporate break-ins, both on the cybernet and physically. There have been a couple server farms that have been bombed, with this group taking responsibility for them to bring down cybernetic defenses to allow them to extract these artificial intelligence systems. All of you know from being residents of New Lisbon City that there are extremely strict regulations on artificial intelligence use. The corporations enforce this because they're worried that if any of these artificial intelligences were to grow too powerful, were to grow too big, too fast, that they would eliminate the inequalities that allow the corporations to continue to make vast sums of money and focus that wealth at the very top tiers of society. And so you know that this radical organization has dedicated itself to allowing these AIs not only to achieve sentience, but independence from human control. So with this in mind, with this background, the guy lying on the table coughs and blood comes kind of seeping down his chin in a couple droplets. And he wipes it off with his hand. And then, of course, extends his metal hand out to you, blood still on it. He goes, "I'm Paolo." And he extends his hand toward Basher because Basher's the closest one.
Dasher, you mean?
Dasher, sorry.
Not derivative of anyone. I guess before I shake his hand, I'll say no more. We'll do the job. How much does it pay?
So he kind of looks around and he goes, "I need to move this merchandise. You've seen it. It's all illegal, but I move it every week. It shouldn't be a problem. But I think I can scrape together from the merchandise maybe 150,000 credits.
That's pretty good.
What do you think? Can you help me?"
Take a look at the group. Rest of these group. I mean, I don't really know you two blokes that well, Viper lad. This sort of thing you do? Ben, you're in.
I'm in. He's in.
I could help a lot of people with that many credits.
I do tasks often under a hot eye from the city. What assurances do we have that everything's gonna be a-okay for us?
So again, Paolo coughs here, coughs up some more blood. He goes, "I can make no assurances. I have to tell you, it will probably be dangerous. I can't send any men. They're off fighting the police and trying to make sure that our interests are protected. I was going to go myself, hence the prison break. My boys blew me out so that I could make contact with this woman. She's expecting me. I still have," and he kind of clocks in his like internal, his internal HUD. He's like, "I still have 15 minutes to tell her that I'll be making contact, but a little differently than before. Hopefully it doesn't spook her. I think she'll still be at the location because, well, if you guys are in, she's playing a show tonight. And so I expect she'll be there anyway.
Show.
But My contact is expecting me, and I need to let her know one way or the other if you guys are coming.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We're
Good,
in.
good, good.
Wheelman says
I
we're
could
in.
use
We're
the
in.
money.
We're in.
Now he says, he kind of looks around. He goes, "My men have drawn the police off for now. I don't think they will bother you. At least as long as you don't start throwing bombs at anybody, any passerby." And he looks at Dasher at this. Clearly saw him escape the police and then casually drop a pipe bomb in their back
worries.
pockets.
Mate, I only did that, to help you get out. I would never think of attacking an unsuspecting officer of the law in my free time.
He goes, "Good. My man will get you the contact information or the contact's location. In the meantime, I am going to pass out while my friend here works on my arm. Please take advantage of our shop if you need to heal up, do some drugs, have a drink, rearm your weapons. Our space is yours to use as you like. And so you have an opportunity now for a short rest."
I'm going to cast Good Berry, so I get 10 good berries, but they're good batteries.
Good.
So I get these 10, and they're like edible, right? They're little batteries with like some electrical energy in there, and I hand him one. I say, "Here," and I say, "The benefits of electric. I see you got a good mix here," but I hand it to him. "Consider your ecological footprint." I just give him one good berry, which gives him 1 HP.
So Paolo kind of thanks you, kind of nods and sticks it into his jack where it delivers the 1 HP and then falls back out. And kind of crumples the dust on the ground.
So, I will do a little ritual, however that looks in a cybernetic world, and I will pull out of, it kind of has like an 8-bit, I guess, tear in reality, and out pops a little circular orb that has like 3 rings on it, kind of like equally spaced out in a triangle, kind of like a coconut does, or a bowling ball. It's a metallic looking little ball, and the rings have like a ring of light on them. And it's my little fine familiar little thingy.
Very nice. Does he or she or it have a name?
Orblet. Orblet. And it levitates in the air, just kind of like levitates around me.
Okay.
Good name. It's Adorablit as well, so that works.
Yes.
So cute.
All right, so Paolo manages to lever himself off the table, kind of swats away the dock working on him, and he comes over and he hands you a clear plastic rectangle, what looks like glass, but is like a really finely made plasteel, and it's about the size of a business card. And he goes, the location's on here, and it will light up. You're close to confirm that you're in the right place. So keep this handy. Hands it to you, and then gives you directions.
Who did he hand it to?
He holds it out. Who wants to take it?
I wanted him to hand it to me, and I was going to pretend like I knew what it was, and then when he looked away, I was going to give it to Viper, because I don't know what the fuck this thing does.
So Viper, in your AR, this thing actually
Yes.
lights up like a Christmas tree. Like you can see there's a tether that's connected to this that stretches out like, and like most of the cybernet, it pays very little attention to physical walls. It just goes like straight through the wall out into the city.
Even in this dark zone?
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
like a really, really bright line. And he kind of nods to you and hands it over. He goes, "Here's the location. You can follow the tether to. It'll take you to the same place. Get there fast. They're expecting you in a little under an hour. Make contact. Get the information from the contact. Return here if you can." And kind of pumps his fist and says, "Good luck. Stay alive out there." Then heads back to the table to get more work on his arm.
Can I tell if like this device he gave me is only encrypted for like the holder to see, or like can anyone else like see this if they have augment abilities?
Yeah. So the tether on this cybernetic on the cybernet connection on this is only accessible by physical touch. So you can only like your AR display didn't light up until you were holding it.
Okay.
And once you were holding it, it all of a sudden lit up. So
Very
activated
thorough.
by cybernetic touch.
Okay.
So the location he gives you is for. Everybody give me a nature roll. How well do we know the concrete jungle? How well do we know the concrete
I love
jungle?
that I'm a druid with a +0 to nature.
Yeah.
Just
Be good.
how is that a thing?
Well, you
I
may
got
have
5.
reasonably assumed that nature wasn't going to come up a lot in the, the cyberpunk campaign.
Subverting.
Some people might say history
expectations.
for how well you know the streets, but you know.
My modifiers are the same
It's the
for either
same
one, so
modifier.
yeah.
Intelligence.
Oh, it's fair.
10.
10? Okay.
Yeah, Ben got a 5.
5?
12 here.
12? Okay.
18 for your boy.
Hey! Okay. Dasher, who is no stranger to the criminal underground, recognizes the address that Paolo gives you. And it is of an infamous biker bar called Tech Noir. And it is a little bit under an hour away. You can make it there just in time if you leave right now.
Ben, you better make yourself feel, I don't know, extra four-wheel drivey because we got to get out of here in time.
Well, does he have a car for us? Maybe something faster?
Ooh.
So Paolo, he smiles. He goes, "Are you kidding?" And he walks over to the side of the garage where there's an additional garage door, and he jams a button like on a 2-button operating thing. He jams the top button, and the door grinds open. And inside, this is the nice side of the chop shop. There are lined up, completely clean powered electric motorcycles. Each of them illegally modified. No rate limiters, no speed limiters, and they've been modified so that they can access any area of the city without having to go through any corporate checkpoints. They fly completely blind.
Amazing.
What do you say, boys? Are we talking or are we racing?
Dibs on the blue one.
You might want to cut out that gendered language there, Ben. You know, we do have a Viper's part of the party. I'm just saying.
I don't know what Viper. What do you identify as?
I've never been asked that before.
Viper identifies as nothing. She's not on the fucking grid.
I am a meat popsicle.
It's the year 2323. Aren't we kind of past this?
Yeah.
Why be assuming when you could be zooming?
Good boy.
Good. I like that. I can't drive, though, so I'm going to hop on the back of Ben's motorcycle.
All right. Viper Lad, are you taking your own or are you sharing one?
I am proficient in vehicles, so I can drive my own.
Excellent.
Can I ride with you, Viper?
Sure. Hop on the back.
All right. So
Facing the wrong way.
Going downtown.
So as you hop on these crotch rockets and leave this blackout zone, you notice that the neon lights, the holograms, they pick back up. Some of them are so big they're like on top of buildings. There's some that are 30, 40 stories tall, very eye-grabbing. Some are so small you kind of like they whip past almost before you see them. But there's a line that starts to come up for each of you. Regardless of the kind of advertisement you're seeing, you start seeing this kind of line at the bottom of some of these advertisements. And you see it enough that you realize it's not an accident. And the line is, "This is a test." And it seems to be completely divorced from the rest of the ad, but just like kind of laid in at the bottom or innocuously on the side, running vertically along the side of the advertisement. This is a test over and over again, such that maybe, there's no way it can be accident. Somehow this has made its way into your profile. With one exception, Viper does not see this message. Viper is seeing only the kinds of messages and advertisements and data sets that she has carefully curated in New Lisbon's cybernet as being something that she is, and she's hiding in plain sight. And so as you reach this location, you pull up outside of this bar, and the first thing that hits you is like the thump of bass. Like you can hear the bass line of the music from outside this place, from like well down the street. And in red, kind of italicized neon on the outside of the bar reads Tech Noir, and underneath it, in kind of strobing pink and blue lights, are lines of motorcycles, various different kinds. There's, electric crotch rockets like you have. They're old school, like diesel powered, gas powered monstrosities. There are motorcycles with sidecars. There's ones that look like they've been through, street brawls, like scuffed up paint and like stuff hanging off of them. Lots of them, you notice, have holsters or other like places to place weapons. And standing outside this bar is a gnarly looking bouncer. He is big, thick guy, tatted up. He's wearing a black leather vest with like chains over it, and big black combat boots, camo pants, and just enormous burly guy standing in front of the door with his arms crossed over his chest. And this is the kind of place where there is never going to be a line outside, because who would want to go to this place? The only people that ever come here are people that are known, people that are expected. And so he eyes you up as you pull up, and kind of you can see him kind of cock his head as if listening to somebody talking to him. Nobody next to him, nobody near him, but as if he's listening to something as you pull up.
Is he within 60 feet?
He is. You're about 20 feet away from him.
I would like to use... Hang on. The thing that I got. I can listen in if I really focus. Where is it? No! Okay, here it is. So, with a feat Prime Hacker, I can... As a reaction to a machine I can see being used to send wireless or radio signal within 60 feet of me, while I have the hacking tools augment installed, which I do, you can choose to either analyze the signal, learning the message that is being transmitted for 1 minute, or jam the signal if I wanted to. I want to listen in to what you're saying.
Okay, so as you do that, you kind of catch the second half of a sentence, and this kind of gravelly voice goes, "Smell like money. Let him in." And so as you approach the front door of this place, the bass kind of thumping and reverberating from inside the club, louder and louder as you approach. He kind of eyes you up and down, and then kind of shrugs and steps aside, opens the door for you and lets you in. And as you enter this bar, there are kind of two distinct areas, or three distinct areas of this place. There is, in the very middle, behind a horseshoe bar, a stage. In front of the bar, in front of the stage, there is a horseshoe bar that's manned by a couple surly-looking bartenders that are slinging drinks and, other psychotropic, some legal, some illegal, concoctions around to the crowd. And this place is bumping. There is a huge crowd here. It's packed, and it is packed with people all in very much a mode of kind of biker chic. There's a lot of black leather. There's a lot of spiked hair, tattoos everywhere, lots of metal, and it's hard to see anybody there that isn't cybernetically modified. Viper's AR system is like, setting aside how brightly the kind of neon strobes are going off, enhancing this vision is the number of cybernetics present is kind of, eye-goggling. The music is being provided by a band up on the stage. They are in full swing, electric guitar, synthesizers, and in the back, there's a guy in a purple tank top. He looks absolutely ripped. He's got long hair and a ponytail and a bunch of chains around his neck, and he is blasting into a saxophone. And this band is like driving the crowd nuts. They are jumping up and down, they're dancing, like complete abandon.
This is my kind of establishment.
And so as you look around, you notice that there are kind of off the dance floor, kind of floor area of the bar, there are these little alcoves and like nooks of booths that are set further back against the wall that are kind of shadowy and dark. You can see some folks in there talking, you know, making out, doing lines of something, you know, exchanging information or you know, sliding money across tables. Clearly a den of iniquity if you ever saw one. And the card that Viper has, are you holding it or is it in like a pocket?
I mean, the beam comes out of it, right? So even if it's in my pocket, I can still like...
So you have to be touching it. You have to be like...
Well, like hand in my pocket. Yeah, hand in my pocket holding it.
Okay.
Does that work?
So if you're holding it, you notice that this tether goes straight up to the stage and alights on a silvery looking kind of shiny locket that is on the chest of the lead singer. The lead singer of the band is playing what looks like an electric bass. She has this thin, kind of waifish, short pixie blonde cut hair, wearing like very little clothing, like sweat, you know, soaked white t-shirt that like reveals most of her top. You know, tiny pair of shorts with a bandolier of bullets as a belt, big combat boots, and she's like belting it out into a microphone. And you, as kind of the music crescendos, you realize you've arrived kind of at the midpoint of their set. As they finish their song, people are kind of whooping and hollering. People rush to the bar as the bass lines and the guitar lines fade. She sets down her bass guitar on a little stand next to the microphone, kind of kicks the microphone stand over in a devil-may-care way and saunters off the stage over into one of these alcoves. She's kind of mobbed by a few fans, you know, people coming over. She brushes them off. The band members are kind of like shoving people away. You know, clear that they don't want to be really interact with the members of the crowd at this point. But the tether follows her all the way over into this alcove.
To the group.
Far back in the corner.
To the group, I slowly say, that's her, the lead singer.
All right. Well, head right there. I mean, I'll just make my way in that direction then. Yeah.
Make my way.
So as you
I change my outfit while I'm walking to look like rave gear, just so I'm, you know, fit in more. Yeah.
So, and you notice like going through there are plenty of people with similar gear here. There's like, you know, people with neon wave hair that's changing color and texture as they kind of headbang. Folks with both cybernetic implants and aesthetic implants, you know, different colored eyes, tattoos that shift and change color on their skin. As you make your way through this like mottled crowd, you actually start to blend in relatively well. Nobody's giving you weird looks. Like it seems like a relatively eclectic crowd. And as you make your way over to the table, the bandmates have kind of, you know, one of them's got his feet up on the table and he's like already drinking from a bottle of kind of opaque dark liquid. And the lead singer is looking down at this like cracked plasteel tabletop and just kind of like flexing her hands like this, kind of getting her fingers loosened up from the set that she played. And she looks up at you and then kind of cocks her head. She goes, "No autographs tonight."
We're not looking for signatures. We're pals. Oh, palo? Yeah.
And so, like as the name registers, she kind of coyly takes a burner communicator out of her pocket and slides it over to her bandmate. She goes, "Get rid of that for me." And the bandmate takes it and kind of wanders off into the crowd, and you see him drop it into the pocket of like one of the crowd members. And so she
keep a specific eye on that crowd member if I can.
So she looks around and she goes, "So you're here for Paolo?"
He sends his regards.
Mm-hmm. He just wanted us to check out the set, see how it sounded. It was great.
He's always been a fan of our music. And I heard he was involved in a little dust-up earlier today involving, you know, confinement. Any way you were involved in that too?
we've been having a real blast tonight before coming here, for sure. For sure.
Well, you'll have to tell me about it sometime. For now, though, I think I owe you some information. And she slides across the table a data stick. And etched into the stick in neon glowing letters are the words, "This is a test." And that is where we will end our first episode.
Ooh. The camera pans
Aww.
out from this rave bar and goes into the Tall Tale Tavern, where this man with the cybernetic eye takes a drink of his concoction, that mixture of amphetamines and alcohol and sugar, and pans out from the tavern. And that is where we will end. Thanks to all the players this week: Mav, Scott, Ballistikitty, and Landfell. Their socials can be found in the description. If you want to see the video of this episode, it will be up on our YouTube. Follow us at Tall Tale Tavern Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you like us, give us one of those good 5-star reviews. Join our Discord too. Thank you to Tyler Adelsberger for our intro music. Thank you to Zazar for our artwork. And with that, we will see you next time to continue the story of this crowning AI achievement at the Tall Tale Tavern.
Kyle, you said this was a level 7 adventure. It's a level 6 adventure.
I said 7? I wrote 6.
Up. You fucked it up. It's rude.
Can I say it right now? And
Nope.
And you'll...
Nope. I'll put this at the end of the episode, though.
It literally says 6 right there.